Translating, because thank you for your patience. I was having a moment. I'm sensitive. I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, and so so I'm asking them, do you know what this is? And again, they're still going. And then they're taking all these things. But now the thing is this: 2 days ago, I got a river barge rope 100 feet out the Mississippi River, and I put it in my black truck, and I wrapped it around, and I put it by myself with my hands, and I brought the chains here by myself, and I locked them all up, and I wrapped it all the way around, okay, and I locked them all the way around, okay, and so the city got here at 3 o'clock, but they couldn't get the chains off and all that till 5 o'clock. But you know, and because see, they had to torch it, and then so I asked them. I said, "You have 50 people to undo what one man has done by himself, 50." And then you know, and I said, "This is what you're gonna undo what one man has done for one other man for 400 years of suffering." I said, you're willing to do that? I said, I would believe you, and I will dismantle it myself if you bring your boss down here to me right now, today, and I will break it down. So, and 15 minutes later, both of their bosses were there. Hold up, brother. Hold up. All right. But see, hold up. I'm sorry. Because see, you know what? Because see, in my pocket, I got an email from... I know I should go fast. If y'all want me to go fast, I'll keep this information to myself. Okay, so all right. So, because I got 2 speeds, and if you don't like this one, you definitely won't like the other one. Because I've been up since 4 something, and I've been fighting against the city. You know, it was my damn voice, this voice right here. This voice you hear right here. This is the one that they heard. And when I couldn't speak in the English language to get them, I spoke in the heavenly language. And they stopped. And because the last thing that I said to Janelle was this: arise, O Lord, and scatter thine enemies. I was here 7 minutes. And what happened? Did they stop? Yeah, can I get a witness? Did they stop? Did they stop? Yes, they did. They stopped. That's why all this is here. After 7 minutes, they stopped. Because see, one of the city workers, he came over to me. He was like, "Yeah, Brother Jay, man, for real though," because I was over there and I looked at my boss, and I looked over and she was crying. And then she looked at, I was like, "You all right? You all right, Julie? You all right?" He was like, she said, "Pull everybody back. Put everybody back. Clear out the way. Clear out the way." And then, next thing you know, I'm talking around. Then they come around me. "Sir, where do you want to put these boxes at? Sir, hold on." And I'm like, "Come on, sir." I said, "Okay, sir, we don't really want to move anything. We just need a little space." I said, "Well, you know what? You could have just spoke to me in advance. I engineered this. I built a garden that you never had in Minneapolis ever. See, because most of the roundabouts go in. Mine's on top of the ground. So I'll explain to you. It has a drain tile around here. It has Cat 5. It has moisture barrier around here. And it's on a slope grade. So what goes on is this: as the moisture goes in, it gets captured. Anything else overflows. That's why on the rainy days, it looks like a pool of glass. If you all been here, it looks like a pool of glass. But see, everything else kept in. But then as the ground heats up, it acts like a pot, the ridges, and so what happens is it moisturizes from the ground up. But Minneapolis ain't got shit like this, okay? And they want to get rid of it, you know? And it's on recycled plants, and you know how much it didn't cost them? 50 cents, because I got it back. It didn't cost them anything, and you want to get rid of it? And this is to represent all the murder and mayhem. See, what happened was this: they tried to do like their fourth. See, you learn like your daddy teach you. See, their daddy taught them to go by force, but they don't know my father is of wisdom. And our foundation of the king of every kingdom is wisdom. And you know what? And we have this fiery sword that is our tongue that could cut through the very sinew of every existence. Most people believe that I am here. No, but here is inside of who I am. this world, this every galaxy, everything that's ever created is inside of who I am. This is my remote control. This I am you and you are me, and that's how life goes on. This is our power. Our power is I am, not that I was, not that I might be. His power is I am. I am. I am. I am a man. I am alive. I am George Floyd. Say his name. George Floyd. He can never get up again, but we can lift up the peace that he would have. See, nothing is worth more than our peace. Nothing. Nothing. And that's why they left. Because I told them, I said, you know what? Whoever is against us in this city staff, and they were elected official, they will never ever be elected ever again in anything. And their kids won't even be able to run for school president. They will not be able to get elected. You think I'm playing? And they kids. I do not. I go 4 generations on earth and in heaven. You think I'm playing? See, the government is on our shoulder. We don't serve them, they serve us. If you can't walk with us, don't, come on. If they can't walk with us, don't vote for them. If they cannot walk with us, do not vote for them. Leave them alone. Leave that man alone. Do not vote for that man. I don't care who his mama said his mama was. Do not vote for that man. I don't care how many fries are on sale. Do not vote for that man. If he ain't gonna walk with us, do not vote for him. Okay? So they left. That's a win. Who can defeat us? Who can defeat us? Who can defeat us? Who can defeat us? So again, I heard the same people that people from the first day, they'll do it on the 300th day. And all right, so I just want to address the city business. The city businesses of this, that Alondra Kano, Andrea Jenkins, Abby Rosami, Lisa Bender, they know me as Jaylani or Chikaleen, or because you know what, I speak about 8 languages. And so I bring a lot of power to the punch, especially with people wanting to get a little swing vote. Anyway, they all fucking know me. Okay? We fought for 5 years over on a street light. I direct the International Gateway. It's 10 blocks on Lake Street. You know where you have Cinco de Mayo and all of that? Hey, I didn't wear a big sign, did I? Oh no. But it's a pretty nice event, isn't it? All right. But you know what? That's what the people you hang around. That's what you do. Mrs. Sabrina. That's it. With the people, the city are afraid of. I'm their counsel. I'm their counsel. I speak to the city on their behalf of the people that the city most dreads speaking to. That's my witness. So we had I had the city Ways and Means, the mayor, the Alondra Kano, the highway right department, now. And
George Floyd Square.
I think Greenway District.
This is Jay, the gardener, speaking.
But we were all in this meeting for one light on 5th Street. There was a light on 4th, and there was a light on 3rd. But the thing is between the Greenway, people were getting hit. So I had this big meeting for one light. It's an insignificant light. So what do you think we're going to do on this? The National Historical Monument. You know what? They gave the Floyd family $26 million. That's nothing. So we're gonna take that $20, that counterfeit $20 as a team, right? We're gonna take that on the chin, and we're gonna take this patch of land right here. We're gonna trade that $20 that they could have let George say his name. George Floyd. They could have let them go for that $20. Now this $20 gonna cost them this land. This $20 gonna cost them this National Historical District. This is what it's gonna cost them. This is what it's gonna cost them. Okay? This is what it's gonna cost them. All right? They've already said they're not gonna take anything else that's around the border. So that's a win. Anything that is right there is gonna be is what it is. Okay? And so now, half hour later comes. All the other people, I don't have to say their name. They're like, oh man, wait till the city get here, man. You know what I'm saying? I said, you know how to use, man. You're not an engineer, man. I'm saying that's what they were saying, and I was saying, oh yeah, really? Don't fucking tell me what I can't do. Just wait till they get here. And then so the boss comes. He came from that way. He was like, looking down, look at this thing. Oh, what's up, Jay? How you doing? I'm saying, hey, how you doing, man? Like, you doing good? He said, oh man, when was the last time we saw you? Was it city commission or county commission? Man, I don't remember. I said, was it on like, oh shit, it was one of those things. And then the guy over there who, he didn't shit his pants, but he looked like he should have. Cause I'm like, sit your ass down when grown men are talking. And you should keep your mouth closed in the presence of a king. That's it. If you're not ready for understanding, you sit your fucking ass down. I don't do this for fucking play. You know? This is for real. This is for all my people. This is for everyone who has ever died ever in the world. This is what this is for. We taking that $20 and this is for everything that anyone has ever suffered at the hands of white supremacy or hatred. And you can't fucking have it back. Ever. Ever. And so, I'm not just saying, because again, people are saying, oh, well, you just want the land, that's the end of the story. No. I asked for God to lead the wisdom to lead the people daily. And so, I could have reacted in response to all of it, but I went into my greenhouse, and I meditated, and I said, Lord God, what can you do? And then here came a man who we had a conversation, a PhD or whatever, but he's like, man, you know, and I was like, wow, it's like Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver. He was like, yeah, something like that. And then we just sat and then we had a conversation, and then we came up with it. In the National Historical District, we will have a justice center. And this justice center will be responsible for the freedom of 1 million men incarcerated for non-violent crimes and 1 million women that have been incarcerated for non-violent crimes. That's our first milestone for the Justice Center. You know, hey, listen, brother, we've been waiting 400 years. I could turn the microphone off, get the other, but I just got this list. Okay, I've been up since 4:15, and so I built this motherfucker 365 days ago, and all the people that want to talk, get their motherfucking hands dirty. Get you some dirt under your fingernails and run up here. Get you some dirt under your fingernails and run up here. You want to run to the mic? Run to me to help me. I'm like, this ain't a pulpit. I run to pull people from the pit. Get the fuck behind me. Not you, brother. Not you, but I'm just saying. That's, you know, you know what? I'm a warrior king. And when it's about my people, that's it. It's when it's about that's it. Service to all. Service to all. The son don't choose who gets this. It's just how you gonna use it. So I'm not here to judge, I'm here to love. That's it. And this is my love brand, linking our values and efforts. And I just want to get through it, okay? I apologize if I've been long-winded, but it's been a long day, and I'm sensitive, okay? Already, I'm very vulnerable right about now, all right? Okay? See, justice. No justice, no peace. No justice, no streets. No, pardon me, this time no justice, no peace. See, if there's no justice, there's no peace on the streets. But there's no peace. Now, see, if there's no peace, there's no what? Health. Okay? Everybody say, no cancer. No cancer. No oncology. No Alzheimer's. No Lou Gehrig's. No arthritis. That's what the health center, we're going to have to see in that greenhouse. What I got are organic vegetables. I got succulents in South Africa, South America. I got things that have natural healing properties. Okay? Behind there, what I have is perithecium, and I have the marigolds, and what else? It's melaleuca, the tea tree plant, and also the nonetheless, it's been a long day. But what happens is this. The way you get cancer is this. There are trace metals in the dirt. Okay? And these dirt, the metal in this dirt, what happens is you have mitochondria in your cells. And that shows you how fast things go and how fast oxygen can turn over. But see, when things aren't oxygenated, what happens, that's when it decays. See, cancer is but decay. Okay, and so cancer cannot live in a oxygen-rich area. So what goes on is this: to combat the minerals, the trace minerals, what you do is you introduce plants that have been grown in volcanic regions that have high minerals. And then what you do is you grow them up, you dry them, and then if you see in those tubs, I'll see them are dried, and you turn them up, and then you put them in your fertilizer mixture. And then what you do is you spray it over the ground, and then you till it. And then what goes on, instead of having trace minerals, it cures everything. Imagine a guy say this for me: organic, USA. Organic, USA. Imagine all of America, all its food organic again and cheap. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay, all food. So, but the thing is not only America, but for the rest of the world. You know, it's for the rest of the world. And so from there, you see, because of what goes on is they try with their power. That's why there's no peace or prosperity. We lead with peace. That's why I'll show our prosperity. Then they'll see our power. And through our peace and our health and our wealth, we have financial center. You know, where we have financial education, right? On how to utilize products. A lot of times, you know, you've got Medgar Evers was showing people how to buy insurance. That's why they were killing them. That's why they killed them. Why? Because beforehand they didn't have insurance. They can go kill this, somebody take their land. But now they got insurance, they got trace. No, you can't take that. That's their land. They have their PIDs or whatever. That's it. So that's why they killed them. So it was a land grab. So, right? And so now what goes on, financial center, actually, you know where, guys, you know where you are? You know where you are right now? You're standing right now? Say, Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street! Black Wall Street! Black Wall Street! Black Wall Street! This is Black Wall Street. This is the beginning of the Black Wall Street. I'm a visionary, and our vision is the leader. I'm not the leader, you're not the leader, but our vision is the leader. I just need everybody to come with their passion with what I'm saying. If they hear something I'm saying and say, I'd like to help with that, and that's your passion, then let's link up. Because that's what love is, linking our values and efforts. And you know what? And with this financial center, what we want to also create is a cultural center, where we'll become, because our food, our hair, our language is a work of art. All of us, we want to come and explain and share everybody's culture and have everybody's dance and everybody come where we can share music and all of these things. That's what we want to do here in this National Historical District. That's what you can do in the National Historic District. That's it. I know I keep changing it, but that's cool, we know what I mean. And then, you know what? The next phase is we want a business development center, right? Business development. Who wants their own business? Right? Who wants to know how? Who wants to help someone learn how to have their own business? You know what I mean? That's where it begins. That's where the autonomy is, you know? And an economic development center. You know, actually I got 200 homes that are non-MLS for sale. I don't bullshit you. I call my CFO. You need, trust me. There's 200 around this area. They have their duplexes and singleplexes. I'm serious. Okay, that's what I'm about. for everyone. Okay? I don't wear a big ass sign, but I'm just about my Father's business. And this is what it is. It's about his people. It's a broken people. To rebuild a broken people, a broken land. You know? To redeem the people scattered to all over the sea. Oh, bring ye, O seas and isles. Bring my children. Bring them. Oh, bless you. Look who we are. Look who we are gathered. You know, in love. You know? We don't want to just black out on July 7th or whatever day. We want to black in. We want a trade center. We want to bring everybody bring their goods here. Let's bring all our stuff in here. Let's bring our, we don't have to, oh no, I ain't going to shop out there no more. Let's bring all our stuff in here. And let's bring it together. Ujama. Arambe. Anyway, that's another thing. But Amanda. In South Africa, they sing Amanda Awetu. We are the power, we are the people. During apartheid, Amanda Awetu. This is for everybody. I'm not bullshit. I represent I feel you. And that's what it is. I put this on it was on me for everybody. Why? Because I'm your hands moving. You're my wisdom and my thought, my love there reflecting. I'm your hands and legs moving. You're my wisdom and love there reflecting. That's it. You know? It shouldn't be any more or less than that. Labor force. We all need to work. We all need skills. That's it. Everybody wants to work, eat, get a job, get a house, have a family. It's basic. So that's it. A labor center, labor force center. How can we help people fill out resumes? How can we help you? Hey, I can refer you here. How can we do that together? Look around you. Check your strength. Look around you. Check your strength. Look who you got around you. That's your strength. Do me a favor. Look to your left and say, you matter. You matter. Look to your right and you matter. You matter. That's where it begins. You know? That's where it is. Say his name!
George Floyd!
Say his name!
George Floyd!
Say his name!
George Floyd!
Who can defeat us?
Nobody!
Who can defeat us?
Nobody!
Who can defeat us?
Nobody!
We are
One!
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 We
Here,
are
live at George Floyd Square.
We are.
This is Jay the gardener speaking. This is his garden. He saved it from the city, eradicating it earlier this morning.
And Andrea Jenkins. And see, because I helped Alondra Cano back in the day. And anyway, she called me. You can check my phone. I don't have to lie to anybody. My mama is, anyway. And we got a meeting coming up. And what she said, you know what she said? She said, I know who you are. I know what you stand for. And I support whatever you want. I said, well, National Historic Monument, we need you. She said, okay, well, I have Andrea there, and plus, I'll have 2 other people there, and yes, and so, yeah. And so all the people who was trying to bully the caretakers, the people that were trying to bully the caretakers, recognize that the lion that they're afraid of is on my leash. The lion that they're afraid of is on my leash. Okay? The lion that they're afraid of is on my leash. Okay? I am the lion of Judah. A lady of this lion that they call a government is, what is this to me? What is this snake that they have? I'm an eagle. I pulled it up to the air. And now what can they do but fall? You understand? So because you see, the thing is humility is where you get lifted. But they went high to the table, so that's why they're here with me. And I said, sit your ass down till after I have this meeting and let me know what you want. You want some hot Takis, Cheetos, you want some pop? What else you want? Don't tell your mama I got it to you, I love you. But you know what? That sit their ass down. Because this is people, this is about the people. See, they try to come in with power, we come in with the peace, and then the people, you know what we're gonna do is prosper, and then they're gonna see our power, okay? So right now we got a meeting with Alondra, and she's already okay. She said, hey, you know what? Jay, we're gonna, because in Spanish I'm chiquilín, porque puedo hablar español. Si quieres traducir eso luego, ven a mí al otro lado, pues. Okay, but the thing is I'm chiquilín in Spanish. And so she said, chiquilín, I'll do whatever I can do to help you. Okay? And then lastly, the engineers, I know, lastly, the engineers, the two bosses, once they got here, they came in the greenhouse and they sat down and they said, well, what are we, I said, we're at an impasse. I said, y'all ain't doing shit. And they're like, okay. And then I said, well, you know what, we can just make a small adjustment. They said, look, Jay, it's fine. I can show you the email. They said, look, it's fine. Just call us when you're ready to talk. Peace. And I can show you my email right now. You know? I know, I got you. You know? But the people got to hear this. Because this is about the finality of the situation, young daughter. Is that because otherwise without this conversation from Alondra Cano, that means that they can come back and move everything. And they can, because I know Jacob Fry, I know the guys, they shift and change. But this conversation is here. I'm here speaking. And I'm saying I have a meeting with her, and I'm saying that I have your best interest at heart. And I'm saying that's it. I'm holding them accountable like you hold me accountable. And yeah, I've been long, but you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. No one can defeat us. And so the bosses that were the engineers, they stood down. And Alondra Cano and Andrea Jenkins, who were open to move this, have changed their mind. That's a fucking win. I ask. That's a win for George Floyd. Because all the black monuments have been removed. All the black monuments have been removed. The Emmett Till's behind you. He didn't even get a flower. And they were trying to move this shit. You know? And she's fucking still alive. And you want me to get off the phone? Get your ass on the phone and go get that lady that accused Emmett Till. And I'll get off the microphone.
Get off the microphone. Gatekeepers.
Let's get him. Let's get him. But you know what? Excuse me. I'm hot and I'm mad. Because they try to remove this. They try to erase us.
Come on, Jay, come on.
They tried to erase us, but they can't erase us. We here forever.
Whoop, whoop.
We here forever. Southside, we outside. We right here forever. We out. Can't nobody run this by us. This for us. Shit, already. Hey, but let me tell me the last thing. I'll get out. Hey, do me one more thing. Hey, wait. Last one, I promise. Shine so fucking bright that the sun gets jealous. Because the best revenge is massive success. So everybody shine bright as you can. Shine and stick it to them. Thank you.
We're here live at George Floyd Square. You see, that was the Gardner impassioned speech. We missed the beginning, but
Standing solidarity with community. Our next speaker is someone who's incredible, and I have deep amount of respect for. Billie Jean, everybody.
today the city came through, tried to clear some of the square. They cleared a little bit. They weren't able to clear it all.
Alright. Seriously though, y'all. So, I'm holding the sign saying Black Lives Matter because I don't think a lot of people, especially the people in the city that did what they did today, understand what it means. I have a trunk full of Adam Johnson's beautiful photographs of dead people, of murdered people, of lynched people in the trunk of my car But I had to pull this out of the ground because I don't have one for this, for the living. And we are the people who are living in this thing. And when I woke up and I saw those bulldozers in this square, I knew that they didn't trust us. They were scared of us. They didn't know what to do with us, and they didn't think that we were human beings, and they didn't think that we mattered. Black lives matter. The ones that live, too. We are here, and the world has taught, the United States has taught everyone not to fear black people and to not think that they are on the same level as white people and as are human beings. And we saw that today when they didn't let us know that they were coming. They were scared we would do something. They were scared. I don't know what they were scared of. But anybody, if you told them that they're going to move a memorial of your grandma, of your mama, I don't care what it is, or someone who's important to you, they would let you know so you could be there or not be there, so that you could mourn, so that you could do whatever you needed to do it in a respectful way. There are people out here every day, and I'm going to defer to them as to whether or not it should be open. And whatever they say is what I'm going to do, because they're out here every day taking care of this. Jay is out here every day taking care of this. And he deserves all the respect in the world. Lots of other people out here are out here every day taking care of this. But one thing they need to do is they need to treat us like human beings, and they need to say when it's done. I mean, we could have had a ceremony out here, all sorts of things. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you is why people are afraid of us. People are afraid of black people, are taught to be afraid of black people by the media, by the news, by everything, our very culture. After slavery, after the Reconstruction, during the Reconstruction, the South realized they don't have any free labor anymore. What are they going to do? They're going to go into bankruptcy. Everything is going to be crap. So they need free labor again. So they make up laws to arrest black people and to do their free work for them. And then they tell everybody, see, we can't trust them to be free, because see how many of them are going to jail? See how many of them are getting into trouble? When they made the system to do that in order for us not to succeed, so that they could use us for free labor and economics, and to have somebody for the poor white people to say, at least I'm not them. We need to make sure that no matter what, we need to be treated like human beings. And if you had any doubt that the system thinks that black lives do not matter, then this morning should have told you different. Every one of those bulldozers should have told you something different. Thank you.
Maybe it's important that I first start by introducing myself. For those of you that don't know me, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salam means peace. I'm Zainab Mohammed. I'm the Community Advocacy Manager for the Council on American-Islamic Relations. I'm also a neighbor to this community. I live right on 31st and Bloomington South. I've been coming to the street my entire life. And the city leaders and the leadership in this city choosing to open up George Floyd Square this morning before everybody got up, and telling to the community in a press release, not a press conference, not a phone call, but a press release, shows you the lack and the failed leadership of this city. And if there is a moment where you woke up this year, where George Floyd's life made you think twice about the injustices that have been happening in this country for the last 400 years, then maybe today will be your moment to show up, to realize that this space has become a space where people heal and have a conversation, where people mobilize. And it is because of all of us that we are safe. It is not because of the failed leadership of the city. Jacob Fry will not come and save us. Yolanda O'Connell will not save us. Jay Jenkins will not save us. And community members who sell us out will not save us. It is easy to pin communities against each other. It's been happening all year. If gun violence is the reason that you're opening George Floyd Square, then what about other parts of the city where gun violence is happening, where streets are not closed up? If you truly care about the lives of Black, brown, and indigenous people, then you should do something about it. You should stand with community. You should stand with community. You should bring resources. The city is giving millions of dollars to the police in ensuring your safety without holding any cops accountable. What does that say? George Floyd was murdered, and in return, Derek Chauvin was convicted because of all of you. Not because of the leadership of the city or the state, but because you all got up and said, I'm done. Enough is enough. And today, I stand and I make sure it doesn't happen again. It is not because if you didn't all wake up and didn't do that and didn't show up, Derek Chauvin would still be walking down the streets, making sure that he kills other people, same way he's done it for the last how many ever years he's been in the law enforcement. So it's all of you. As long as you continue to show up to this space, it's all of you that space will be able to hold space. And thank you to the caretakers that have put in countless hours, days, and their lives on the line to make sure that all of you are safe. It's people like Marsha, people like Jay. It is the countless people who show up every day and night that do not get paid by the city, by anyone, that have giving up their jobs and their lives to make sure that all of your voices are heard and seen. So thank you to all of you. And please continue to show up in solidarity and show space and show the leadership of this city that they were elected by you and we are in an election year. Jacob Fry is scared. It is time that he must be held accountable. It is people like Mayor Elliott willing to listen to community to bring a new public safety. It is people like that should be in leadership, not people that are not willing, that are willing to open the streets in the middle of the night so that you all would not get up. So thank you all. And our next speaker is a young person who's been an activist, a teen activist who's been here all year, and it's because of the youth and the young people. That's what this fight is for. Gaji, everybody.
Good? Let me know if I'm in your way.
Thank you. I don't have too much to say. My voice is shot and the message is pretty clear. This morning, this city failed all of us. They failed us and they brought 100 of their men plus, and they thought that they could come up here and take stuff that we've been a year worth in the making, a community that they thought they broke up by taking off some pieces of concrete. They thought that they could take this space and break up what we've been doing here for 365 plus days. Somebody say that ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. So yeah, this morning I woke up angry, but I wake up angry every day living in Minneapolis. I wake up angry every day living in Minneapolis, and I was especially angry because this is not something that we haven't seen before. We have seen Jacob Frey make calls to push people out of a community that they feel threatened by. They feel threatened by what 38th has become. It's not about traffic coming through here. The 5's on a detour. It doesn't need to come through here. It's not about any of that. It's not about the politics of what 38 is. Fuck all of that shit. They're threatened by this space. They're threatened about what we can do in this space. They're threatened by this. Which is cool. I don't understand why. I don't really get into white fragility, but here's this. I haven't seen them in this space for them to just be here and listen. They have not actually listened They can be in your face and you can talk to them, but they have obviously not listened or read the demands of this space, because they would not come to this space at 4:30. No one's awake yet. 4:30 to try and take this shit away. That is cruel. He did it in the summer with the homeless people at Powderhorn near North, and they did it again today. That's what's making me angry. But in conclusion, this space cannot be broken up. This space cannot be broken up. What I've seen here, what I've done here, people I've met here, are people that I'm going to love for life. People I'm going to love for life. Things that I've taken in, I'm going to endure for life. So, fuck the city of Minneapolis, fuck MPD, and fuck anybody who thinks they can come up here and try to tear apart what we tried to make. And to close what I want to say, I'm going to have my lovely ladies come up here, and we're going to share some of that we do at the end of every protest.
Can everyone pull up their fists up, please? And repeat after what I have to say. We're going to do the Asada Shakur chant. We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to win.
We have a duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
I'm going to need y'all to be loud so Jacob Fry can hear us. We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to win.
We have a duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
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 All power to the people. Thank you.
All power to the people.
Our next speaker is Agape.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, I first want to start off by talking to the residents. You know what I'm saying? If you're a resident out here, if you can hear my voice.
This is a member of Agape.
I apologize for us blocking off these streets for the last year, but please understand why we did it. It wasn't for nothing. You know, we came out here because a black man was brutally murdered in front of everybody, and we felt like we had to do something. So again, I just want to start off by apologizing to the residents of the neighborhood. Apologize for the inconvenience, but it's something that we had to do. Now, number two, right? I want to thank everybody that's out here. I appreciate y'all for coming out here, because without y'all, this would not be possible. But I gotta challenge y'all, man. Do not come out here just to come out here. What you do out here is what you should do at a park, leaving the club, going to the bathroom. I don't care what you're doing. This should be a lifestyle change. If you feel some type of way about this man or women being murdered, I'm gonna need you to change your lifestyle. I want you to be the example that you want other people to be. If you're not willing to walk that walk, don't talk to them. Don't talk to nobody if you're not walking what you're talking. That's number two. Number three, we have to start to figure out how we can deal with each other when we're mad at each other. I don't think y'all heard what I said. We gotta figure out how to deal with each other when we mad or you feel disrespected. Because even though we coming out here, we standing up here for this dude, if we don't correct us and what we got going on, all of this is for nothing. Straight up. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this though. I don't really want to say too much. We gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the only thing that is going to create change, is when you are uncomfortable. Because when you're uncomfortable, something has gotta happen. You're not gonna sit around. You're gonna make something happen. So don't leave here and be comfortable and be satisfied with what y'all doing. And to be honest, I'm talking to my elders out here. Because they about to go somewhere else. They doing what they're supposed to do. You hear what I'm saying? This is a movement. And they're doing that. They embody movement. They're moving out here with a purpose. You hear what I'm saying? These are young women, and they're young at that. They're young people. So y'all need to take this as an example. Our elders and people that's older than them. This is a movement. Y'all need to be moving this shit. Stop coming out here playing. This is not a barbecue spot. This is not to come and listen to music. This is not none of that. If you feel hurt and pain, we coming out here to love on you. That's it. Love is different forms and different stages, so we're not gonna get into all of that, but when you come out here, it's love. Point blank period. And if you don't feel the love or to receive the love, then you need to find it, because it's here. Don't walk out of here without finding the love, because that's what this spot is about. That's all I gotta say.
Our next speaker is General Austin.
Janelle is a caretaker.
It's been a very long day. Man, y'all, today hurt. Today hurt real bad.
Talk about it.
And that's the thing, I can't talk about it.
You got your bag? You got your bag? You got your bag, sis? Come on.
I remember you, sis, from last summer. We was trying to hold you back from doing something that we didn't want you to hurt yourself. No, this is a long journey. Y'all, our ancestors have been fighting for a very, very long time. This 365 plus days is nothing compared to what we have collectively gone through as a people. But the thing is, we can't stop. We can't stop, y'all. We can't settle. People are still dying as of today. People are still dying. The police have not been fixed. The systems of healthcare have not been fixed. The education systems have not been fixed. The prison industrial complex has not been fixed. The economic industry has not been fixed. And so this idea of going back to business as usual needs to just get out of your head.
No, out of there. Out.
Because it can't happen. If we are serious about justice and equity for everybody, if we are serious about getting our black men a chance and opportunity to thrive at life, if we are serious about centering black voices, if we are serious about honoring black women, if we are serious about this call, then we can no longer treat this space as just a tourist site. If you're gonna hold space, hold space. And if you can't hold space because you work a job, I need you to go to your job and remind your coworkers and remind your boss and remind your institution that we need to do something to change the injustices that are happening in our country. What are you going to do to leverage your agency for racial justice? Stop putting it on the backs and the shoulders of black women and black men to fix a system that y'all created to break us. Yeah, we're still standing, but we're tired. We're tired. We're tired. I am angry. I angry because the city of Minneapolis in a year's time could figure out how to create a detailed plan to reopen the streets, but they couldn't figure out a detailed plan to provide some health and wellness services. They couldn't figure out a detailed plan for affordable housing. They couldn't figure out a detailed plan to address job insecurity. I'm frustrated and I'm angry about that. Because we have been fighting, or we've been advocating, or we've even gotten on each other's nerves. All the while a system has refused to give us what we're due. A system has refused to give us what we're due. And you cannot simply march when someone is shot. Marching is not the only form of protest or disruption. I need y'all to disrupt wherever you go until the system is fixed, until the system is right. We can't do it by ourselves. If you read your history, every step and change that we have had in this country toward racial progress and racial justice happened because the international community was watching and put pressure on our country to say, you cannot treat black people the way you treat them in your country and think that you're going to march across the ocean and tell us what to do. Read your history. Folks come out here with signs that says Black Lives Matter or BLM because you can't even actually say the full words. But what are you doing to actually uplift the status of our youth? What are you doing to uplift the status of our elders? Y'all, this is the first movement that I have been in over, let's say, since Trayvon Martin, where our elders told us, baby, keep protesting. Baby, keep moving. Baby, this is something right. Someone said to me, this is the intersection of the LA uprising and the Harlem Renaissance. Y'all, this is not art for a museum, this is protest. It's making a statement of where we are going and who we want to be. And if you can't figure out how to define that, I need you to take a back seat. Say it again. Because our lives are on the line. Y'all, LA, this brother has showed up every single day to protect this space. Y'all don't know what he goes through. Y'all don't know what he fights for. But he shows up whether you're here or not. And so LA, I say thank you. I say thank you. Because you're fighting for our lives. Ain't nobody paid you. Ain't nobody asked you. King. Jay. Popeye. Marquise. Y'all, these brothers stand on the strength of their own shoulders and their own feet. Y'all don't know what they've gone through. Y'all don't know what they sacrifice day in and day out. Y'all don't know what they've given for this community before George Floyd died. Y'all don't know how they're fighting the days we sit up late at night ideating, how do we make this space a better space? How do we make our community a better community? How do we grow? How do we do better? How do we get the resources that we need? My Leisha, sis, wherever you are, you have taught me so much over this year. Mona, your passion. You don't quit. Nobody knows the traumas that you have witnessed, but sis, you keep going. And so many others out here, Miss Eliza, Marsha, Huda. Every day putting their very lives on the line. Not just for black folks, but for everybody. Not just for 38th and Chicago, but for all Minneapolis, for this entire country. Because we understand that if we get it right here, do you know how many black people will have an opportunity to fight for their own liberation? Do you not understand? Do you not get it? Minneapolis, it is critical that we get this right. It is critical that we hold our city leadership accountable. It is critical. This is life and death. We've got brothers in prison right now who held space on this ground, but the system was out to get them. And they were fighting for a better life. Y'all, the system has failed some of us since the day we were born. And some of y'all don't know that. And some of y'all do, and you ignore it, and you fight it. But as soon as we can accept this reality, it will strengthen our resolve. It will strengthen our fight. It will strengthen our voice. But there's one caveat. You have to be willing to come together in the context of community. You have to be willing to love yourself and one another.
Speak your truth.
Athena, Tay, we've been through a lot these past few months. But I want you to know that I love you and that I see you. And I know at the end of the day, we stand here as black women fighting for our very lives and fighting for the lives of our children. Now, people have given a lot. And to my white neighbors, y'all know who you are. Y'all show up every single morning in sub-zero temperatures because you can't because you're white.
They got the time. They got the time.
No, they got the blood for it.
Okay. We ain't got nothing to lose but our change.
We ain't got nothing to lose but our change, and y'all have showed up for us. Jay, the gardener, Alex, y'all know who you are. Y'all know who you are. You've given your life to these streets so that everybody can have a better life. And so I need everybody as I'm not closing out, am I? Am I closing out? Okay, good. As I step aside, I need y'all to commit to walking the walk. I need y'all to commit. Forget this. We need y'all. You need y'all to commit to walking the walk. To taking a stand. Speaking up. Speaking out. Don't wait till the streets are open. Don't wait till somebody else dies. Because it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. Some of us have everything to lose and our chance.
Alright, talk about it.
Give it up for Janelle, y'all. Seriously. And give it up for all the caretakers that have been out here tending to the space.
Janelle's been out here a lot. A lot of these folks have.
There is no email address, there is no phone number, there is no HR department for the square. It is simply community. You come here and you hold space and you're a part of this space. And the people that have been here a long time have been working a lot to maintain this space. And it shows you an example of what other communities can look like and the power of here. The power of here and the power of people. And for our final speaker, I want to welcome Michael from the American Indian Movement, who also took down the Christopher Columbus statue outside of the Capitol.
What an amazing time to be here. My name is Mike Forshaw, but today and in this space, I go by George Floyd. When we decided to take that statue down, we had heard it was going to be in the middle of the night, and when that happens, people run. And because of what happened right over here, I said that can't happen. He's got to come down in broad daylight, and the world has to see it happen. That's how it has to happen. And we did it with our tobacco, we did it with prayer, we did it with song and dance, and we laughed and we cried, we sang, and it was beautiful. And then, of course, now we got people trying to put them back up. But I just wanted to say, and I didn't want to miss being here, but, there's a paradigm shift happening. And that's what we're in the middle of. And there's a force behind here trying to shut that door that was popped open with the death of George Floyd. That trap door, he was under there, and along with Breonna Taylor, Phil Quinn, Paul Castaway, and so many others. And they want that door shut, and it's only up to us to keep that door open. When I got sentenced, I got the prosecutor to acknowledge publicly that there was genocide, there is trauma, it still affects us to this day, and it's largely unrecognized by the larger society. And whenever I talk to large groups of people, I always want to say to the white people first, you were not here, you didn't do it, I wasn't here, and it didn't happen to me. So we're not here to say you stole our land, you enslaved all these people, you did this, you didn't do it, you weren't here. But together, we need the black, white, yellow, and red to come together to make that change and to stand against systemic racism, white supremacy, and this system that has created this disparity. And disparity is just despair. Why are there so many people of color in despair? Because the church and the state, when they got here, and they even say, there was nothing here. We created this country out of nothing. The beautiful, greatest country in the world. And those pilgrims, pioneers, and settlers, when they came, in today's language, they would be considered extreme white Christian terrorists. That's what they did. They separated those little tiny Indian kids at the border of the newly created concentration camp or reservation. They separated those children, they put them into boarding school, they molested them, they abused them, they buried them in the backyard. That's why residential and boarding schools are the only school that has a cemetery in the backyard for those little kids. Okay, now when this happened, the world went nuts. George Floyd wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect. There ain't nobody here is perfect. They elevated George Floyd to this. I say every May 25th, George Floyd Day, federal holiday. That'll be a day for America to reflect on its systemic racism and what they've done. But how are we going to change it? How are we going to change a system that was created for them? You know, you couldn't move up to the suburbs because you were black. They got redlining, gerrymandering, this whole system. You know, it's not just here, but the eyes of the world are watching us. The eyes of the world. And you know, there's no reason why this gas station here can't be, you know, just demolished and that'll be George Floyd Square. You know, they can take this whole place over. Eminent domain. There's a lot of stuff they think they can do around here. But anyway, like I said, I'm so glad to be here. Oh, one thing I was going to say. My sentence. I was sentenced to 100 hours community service to teach and educate on the genocide that happened in this country. And I told the judge I would be happy to do more than 100 hours. More than 100 hours. And once I'm done, all the charges will be dropped. I never had a fine. I never had a bail. I told him I would turn myself in. I said, but if I do, you're not going to get my fingerprints or a mugshot, because that's not me. That's not me. I said, if you get a mugshot, it's going to be bruised and bloody. You know? And so once I'm done with these community service hours, but the thing is I need help. I need help spreading the word of what happened here. And I give George Floyd all the credit for changing the Washington Redskins name for the Cleveland Indians. That's what did it. It was us standing up and the world standing up. That's why that changed. We marched for years and years and it didn't do no good. It was what George did. They elevated him. They're the ones who brought him up. But it's up to us to keep him up. May 25th, George Floyd Day. Be blessed.
Really quick, Elijah, before you go, we're going to do a land acknowledgement. Please give it up for Gabriel Blackout, please.
I'm not going to take too much long, but we have to remind these people every time that this is stolen land, built by stolen hands.
Talk about it!
We have to remind them all the time that they are walking on stolen land that their ancestors stole. And how our ancestors bled and how our ancestors were murdered on this ground by the hands of the United States government. So together, we stand in solidarity with everyone here, and as a Justice family member that lost someone to police violence, we give it up to George Floyd. Say his name, George Floyd! Say his name! 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 George Floyd! Justice for Paul passed away. Thank you.
And as I introduce the next person, I just want to give y'all this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I said 9, 10, 11. I said 9, 10, 11. Please give it up for Gatekeeper, who has been down here teaching, educating, and holding space for a long time. Elijah, get up here. Our last speaker, our final speaker. My sister from the South. I'm from New Orleans, she's from Mississippi. Tell him.
Very quick, very soft-spoken, and I need everybody to listen to me today. It's 7:41. Make sure y'all write that down. 7:41, June 2nd, 2021. Day the 3rd? All right, day the 3rd. So let me make this clear to all you guys. I said earlier today that this did not just start with the black peoples. It's been years and decades. And it did not start just on 38th Street. It started, if you know about Southside, outside. And the reason why I'm saying Southside, outside is because It started on 33rd and 4th. And so it was pushed from 33rd and 4th to 38th Street. And so for so many years and decades of years, they have been killing our black men. Let's make that clear, our black men. They have beaten our black women. And so what I'm saying is that 38th Street is bigger than what everybody probably knows out here. Also, I want to say to you guys that at the end of the day, we as a black culture, I always say this, I know what my own kind will do to me at any time. I'm not surprised, but I want y'all to know, to understand that the Bible said a righteous man falls 7 times. And there ain't no, you ain't now one of y'all out here is perfect. Not neither one of y'all. Y'all done did some fuck shit to y'all own people, y'all fuck yourself. So stop playing the role like you ain't done it. And act like Agape done did a big motherfucking deal to y'all. What have y'all done to y'all own fucking people? Think about it. What have y'all done to your own people? I'm speaking reality because you know what? I'm a black woman. I am a black woman. You can get mad and get upset, but I'm a black woman. I just told you, the righteous man falls 7 times. Fell 7 times. But I'm here to let y'all know, every black person out here, did y'all see that portrait we just did over there? Did any of y'all pay attention to that portrait? Did anybody pay attention to the portrait? It was all blackness. Everybody over there was black. Everybody. So let me share this with y'all today. Clear y'all mind. Get your heart right. Get yourself together. I came and tell everybody, I came out here 6 and 12, 3 and 9. Nobody never looked at their clock and understand what 6 and 12, 3 and 9 mean. 6 and 12, 3 and 9. When I came out here on a spiritual assignment. And the Lord was with me. And I was carrying him every day. Everybody knows I'm 6 and 12, 3 and 9. I don't cut chase nothing. And I don't compromise. I can agree to disagree. But I'm never going to compromise. So I want all you guys out here, just think about what would God do. If you got a heart and if you know God, think about what God would do. Hatred is not the way to be. Hate is a bad word. It's a very bad word. So don't use the word hate if you don't know what it means. My spirit loves every last one of you out here. I want you guys to know that. My spirit man, my natural man, don't give a fuck about you. So you better know the difference. Because the spirit man is the best man that you can have to love you. The spirit man. And I want you guys to know we've been out here for 373 days as today. We've been here. Rain, snow, fall, or sleep. And I'm not saying nothing wrong about all you people that's out here, all y'all around here. All of y'all. In the wintertime, I ain't seen none of y'all. And I'm just being 100. And I respect that everybody here holding space right now. But it's even bigger than that right now. It's bigger than that. We got another assignment to do. The Bible said everything's due in season. So it was a season for George Floyd to die. It was a season for Ahmaud's right to die. A young man that was changing his life and getting his life together. I don't hear none of y'all talking about the other people. Nobody. There's names all in the streets. Nobody talk about but one black man. And that was George Floyd. It's bigger than George Floyd at 38th Street. It's bigger. The only reason why y'all press about George Floyd because a white man killed him in front of everybody and it was live. But all these times these black men been get killed, nobody stood up for not one black man that got killed. Show me one black man that we have did this before now. Derek Chavis, this ain't the first black man he done did to. Now they bringing up cases and cases. Pay attention. And everybody black. A 14-year-old boy. Nobody, y'all, no one knew y'all talking about him. See, I'm a white man, and I pay attention, and I'm a listener, and I listen to everybody. Do y'all know what these boys go through on 38th Street? They should have been George Floyd. They could have. They was out here, and the police could have turned around and got on them. But they didn't, because you know what? It wasn't their time. So let's think about what we're saying out here. Let's think about it. This is slavery land in the state of Minnesota. This is slavery land. Let's not think about we know what's happening. This is slavery. But guess what? It took George Floyd to die to make a change. And the change started with him. But it was bigger than George Floyd. We will always love George Floyd. We will always carry George Floyd. But we got other black men. I said we got other black men that we got to make sure that this don't happen to again. Okay? Whether male or female, our kids are dying. Nobody been over here talking about what we can do for these kids. What can we do for their family? Or black kids. So one thing about it, we got to stop talking different people and saying different things about different people. And we got to look in the mirror. Go home. Every last one of y'all, go home and look in the mirror and look at yourself and tell me, what do you see about yourself? Because you know why? Yourself got to die first. And if you can't die with self first, how you gonna come out here and tell me something about these streets? You can't. Self die first.
You hear the generators right here. There's the sound truck. That's the gatekeeper speaking right now here on 38th in Chicago. Down there you have the barricade that's still up. Concrete barriers have been removed. Where those plants are is where Murphy Ranks passed away last year, was killed last year. Some community violence.
So damn what? They moved. There wasn't no barricades out here. There was bodies. And I was one of the bodies. Directing traffic. There wasn't no damn barricades. So now everybody making a difference about the barricades moving. So damn what? We are the barricades. The people. The people. The people. The people. The people. We are the barricades. Our body was out here. Do y'all know how many bodies was out here before it was a barricade? Think about it. The city put them up out here. They deserve to come and get their shit. They were supposed to come and get their shit. Because guess what? We are black. And together we stand. Together we stand. Divided, we're going to fall together. I mean that. My body will still be on 37. Still be on 37. Howard, your body should still be on West. Whoever body on South, you should still be on South. All right, that's South Side, LA South Side. East Side, we already know. So stop playing like we new to this shit out here. We ain't new to this shit. They think we new, but we are not new. And guess what? I'm afraid my family say so. And think about it. Go home and look in the fucking mirror.
Feel free to hold space. Some folks are going to go to Hennepin Lake, where another black man was shot by the police. Or feel free to hold space here. Thank you for coming out.
When we get real, then that's when we'll see real things. Even when we look at
You want to talk to me? I like that hat. Yeah. You want to talk at all? All right, I got you. I'm live, just so you know. Yep. here, you can grab this. You can introduce yourself if you want to. If you don't want to, it's all good. Yeah, I guess. What is your feeling now? Earlier today, the police came through. Well, not really the police. The city came through and removed some of the barricades, and people are still holding the space strong. What's your feeling out here now?
I guess I just how they did it. It was early in the morning. I feel like it was like 5:30, 6 in the morning, and then they came in with like. So, my bad, to backtrack, they've evicted encampments before at 5, 6 in the morning. Before the encampments, the Jamar Clark 5th Precinct occupation, they evicted that early in the morning. The 4th Precinct occupation, they evicted that early in the morning. So that's just a pattern that they got going, evicting stuff early in the morning. But to come here and do it, and then to get, I'm going to call them counterinsurgency agents. I'm not even going to lie to you. To get community members and turn them into counterinsurgency agents. And instead of you coming in and doing what, you feel me, it's your mayor. Your mayor wants this to happen. You come in and you evict this yourself. Don't send no counterinsurgent agents in to come evict this, and then they come in with the city workers and the nonprofit organizations that come in and you know, now they got like, it just really looks like a soft eviction. They got infrastructure so they can come in and do a raid or whatever at another point in time. And there was some discourse about the barricades coming down. We're in here fighting counterinsurgency agents, dog, and like we trying to put barricades up and keep like they don't understand how it's political. It's political because we're getting in their money. They talk about black-owned businesses. Well, these black-owned businesses pay rent or lease or rent space rent to capitalists. You get what I'm saying? And like that, we gotta hold this space down to continue our leverage. They look at the 24 demands that this space drives forward, and they laugh at them. They haven't even acknowledged them or even entertained them. So it's like, I don't. Why should we cede ground? You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Thank you for that. And so what people are talking about with the Agape movement, with the counterinsurgency, and then you see even we sort of heard from an Agape member a minute ago who was just imploring people to continue to take the space, but they were also part of the deconstructing of the first space. So they're also saying it's a phase attempt where they're phasing in the reconnecting, not the reopening, but the reconnecting. What's your interpretation of that? And were you here earlier? Can you break down like some of what you mentioned with the barricades being put back up by the community?
So it's just pretty much like the Agape members are members of the community, and you know they had it right here. They've been here decades, the blood, sweat, and tears on 38th in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And when you see injustices happening, and you don't really, who has time to educate themselves on why it's systemic oppression and all? I gotta eat. You know, I got kids to feed, I got mortgage and rent to pay, I got a car note. So when you take people who understand that there's a problem with injustice, but they're not necessarily educated, but they want to jump in head first because it's like, this is a problem, I feel like I need to help out. Well, you jumping in lost. You know what I'm saying? And that's not your fault. That's what it is. And then when you start dangling money in people's face, and then that's how you turn people into counterinsurgent agents, man, because they think they doing good for the community. They done been out here blood, sweat, and tears, and they done did time. You know, you got some members who talk about, I did 17 years in the pen, I'm coming out, I'm trying to do better for mine. And I bet you is, bro, but the way they got you doing it, that ain't the right way. And like, they got them arguing with people like, yo, take the barricades down, argue, you know, we got white comrades that's, you know, for the liberation, you know what I'm saying? They coming putting up barricades and they arguing with them like, oh, yo, white people ain't here for that. Y'all just want to cause chaos. And it's like, bro, the sad truth is, I'm going to say this on live, bro. The sad truth is black people not organized. Like I said, we got to survive, bro. We impoverished. You feel me? As a community, not all of us, but as a community, we impoverished. We don't got time to be. And then you take in the fact that it's been happening for hundreds of years. Folks get complacent. And it's like, why are we going to be out here much? So yeah, black people ain't out here. It's a lot of white people, but that's because they understand. And shit. Like I said, black people you feel me? White people holding down the shacks and stuff, holding down the space during the wintertime. I congratulate them and I love them for that. I'm not finna tell them they here to cause chaos and come on, man, they've been holding space just like everybody else has, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. But the space, so it's still here. It still remains. And so from my understanding, I wasn't out here, the community came out and the Agape sort of stopped maneuvering the full evacuation of the area. Is that what happened? Can you break that down a little bit?
They stopped the evacuation?
Yeah, like they stopped some of the concrete barricades didn't get removed. The garden didn't get all the way removed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Was that all from Jay stopping it? And like, if you know any of that information, that's cool. If not,
I'm not sure. I know there was an email sent out to the public works that ended up getting out, and it was talking about how they were gonna treat the property like it was their property and stuff. So I mean, according to that email, I don't know if anybody stopped it or if that was their plan to not touch stuff anyway. But no, it sounds like they were ushered in. I don't know about any stop. Maybe they could have. I don't want to say no one stopped any, but it sounds like people were ushered in we're ushering the city workers in to evict. My bad.
So this place has been a network, a hub of mutual aid efforts, and also efforts to stop Line 3, efforts to help the houseless, efforts to combat the ill effects of coronavirus. Can you talk about just what this space has meant to the community and what has grown out of this?
Every time something happens, a joyous moment in Minneapolis happens, people come celebrate and rejoice here at the square. It's a lot of political education coming from the square. It's a lot of, you can pan the camera around. There's people from all different walks of life, backgrounds. They got on different attire to kind of pretty much really aesthetically prove that, it's different walks of life in here and stuff like that. So it's like, man, this is what they want to take away. And they talk about it being a sundown town and all this is only for the sun's up. And it's like, bro, they're talking about stuff that's not going to change with or without the barricades. Like the violence or whatever, bro, they keep talking about Band-Aids. It's a surgical process. You know what I'm saying? People are out doing all this weird stuff because they trying to find a way to survive the best way they know how in this system. And like, until we fix that, with or without these barricades, whatever they want to say, carjacking, shooting, whatever, that's going to happen, bro, until people's material conditions is fixed,
Yeah. Well, and to case in point, there was 20 preschoolers up here yesterday getting taught by my Alicia some lesson. And so you talk about peaceful, this is one of the most peaceful times or places or squares that I've ever been in my existence. Can you talk about the police? Do they prevent the crime? And then at that point, how can the community deal with some of the ill effects of capitalism and racism and these disparities that folks are facing?
Absolutely. I don't think I don't think police solve crime because, they come and administer justice, right? And that's because the state has done a good job of making us think that they have a monopoly on administering justice and a monopoly on violence and stuff like that. So it's like, they don't solve crimes. They don't. We talk about justice. We should be talking about the victim, what the victim wants. We got this system of laws and constructs and guidelines and consequences, but when we talk about justice, we want to help the victim the most. You know what I'm saying? So for them to have a monopoly on justice or to think that they have a monopoly on justice, that's BS. And I feel like ways we can fight against that is like creating places like the George Floyd Square, giving out political education. You know what I'm saying? Providing mutual aid actions, supply drives, food drives to, better provide material conditions up for people. So then you bring them in and then you supply them with necessities that they need that the state has lacked to provide them. And then you also bring them in like, why is it that this autonomous zone is meeting your needs and your necessities as opposed to the state? Let's further explore that. And then that's where the beautiful happens. That's where the beautiful happens.
Yeah. Anything else you'd want to say? We're over a year now. This place has been occupied by the community. But also it seems the city continues to make these pushes to try to open it up. They say it's not going to be back to business as usual with the concrete barricade over George Floyd's area of death. Some of those certain things. But what is your feeling? Is any last words with any of this? The last year, anything last you'd want to say?
Man, this has been going on all year. The beauty, the diversity, the celebration of this space, what's come from the state elevating this situation into what it did international level. The gatekeeper kind of just, they spoke on it. There she is right there. It sucks that they took the barricades, but they were supposed to come get their barricades back. We make our makeshift barricades, but at the end of the day, for the first week, it was bodies. It was bodies directing traffic, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't want to push the narrative that the barricades should come down. But I mean, she do got a point though. It was bodies out here. So if people still want this space, we gonna come out here and we gonna hold it down. Forget them barricades, them city appointed barricades. You know?
Yeah, they were city grid.
Yep. Also, my bad. Yeah. So while this is going on, while they got black revolutionaries fighting with black counterinsurgent agents and in a black space, they done killed another black person down the street from here. It was a socially engineered fight by the city of Minneapolis to get people with revolutionary spirit arguing with black men that they done turned into counterinsurgent agencies, and it's like, man, that's crazy to go and kill another black person while you done socially engineered and constructed this. That's sinister, bro. But I knew that, you know. So
thank you for dropping that in.
For sure, bro.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
We're here at George Floyd Square. I'm trying to talk to a few more folks. How are you too? Good to see you.
How you doing?
All right. You all want to talk at all?
You want to? I can if you want to.
You can stay sitting.
Oh, word. What up? What up? What's good?
If you want, and then just go from there. What is your feeling today? It was a sort of a ruckus morning, but then now it seems the community is still in control of this space. Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, my name is Lavish. I grew up 3 blocks west on 38th and 4th. Definitely tumultuous, definitely a lot going on. This is crazy. They brought up some good points about how before there were barriers here, we were the barriers. We were the barricades. I like that point, but at the same time, we have so many demands that we want the city to meet, and they just came in, really like forced this oppressive power in a sneaky way that was so weird. Like, you're the city. Do things for your constituents. Your people want this. You guys are the body for your, like, it's just mindless and it's oppressive. And then earlier today, we don't know his name. Do you know his name yet? Murdered by deputies?
Yeah, deputies or feds, sheriffs or feds.
Right. And there was about 150, maybe 200 of us up there on Lake and Girard, right next to Lake and Hennepin. So, you know, it's almost, usually somebody gets murdered, you're like, oh, damn, not in Minneapolis. You're just like, all right, that was expected. So, you know, definitely crazy day for sure. And the timing, you can't help but think that it's structured and it's done on purpose.
Talk about the situation uptown. Talk about the situation uptown. What was it like? What did you learn up there? What was the scene?
So I as well as Courtney right here, we got there super early. Our guy, he lives uptown, and he was like, yo, come uptown. Somebody was just shot by the police. So we got there maybe 15 minutes after it actually happened. And there was only about 10 people there. And unlike Detroit, DC, Atlanta, Minneapolis doesn't have like a plethora of black police. But when we got there, it was all black police, bro. At the front lines, it was black cop, black cop, black. I'm like,
Because they know.
Absolutely.
Kinfolk ain't your skinfolk.
Man.
And end of the day.
Absolutely. I wasn't, nobody was really being vocal, so as soon as I saw it, I got on his ass right away, like, bro, you could have took the day off. You don't got to deal with this shit, bro. I was on his ass, but there was maybe only like 10 people up there. It was crazy how fast media got there before people, like CNN and Star Tribune and major outlets. Maybe not CNN, but whoever. They were there before a lot of people were. But then it got to around being like 200 people. It was pretty big out there, but you know, at that point, it's almost like trauma porn or some shit. Like, there's no progress, nothing can be done being here. It's wild, though. We'll get more info soon. You probably will have it before all of us, for sure. You'll know.
Hey, I'm out here. We're out here.
Yeah.
People on the internet probably already know.
Right, right. They the ones who be finding out, right?
Well, okay, thanks for bringing that down. So you said you've been a resident over here. You turned your whole last year into a lot of different movements for you.
Right.
Moving your feet around.
Right.
Literally moving your feet around. Within that, though, we still don't have much policy change.
Right, exactly.
Police getting held accountable.
Right.
And we still have the murders continuing to happen.
Absolutely.
What do you think should happen from now on? How does the community get some justice? How does the community get police accountability? And possibly a different public safety system?
Public safety system is key, bro. The number one thing that gets people killed by police is getting pulled over, stops. We can completely remove police from that. They don't have to do that. There can be an entire other, or at least disarm them. First responders don't need to have police our weapons. The ability to kill you, why do you have this? You're just giving me a speeding ticket. You know, the other day I got pulled over, and immediately I went live, and all I could think of was Brian Quinones. He went live, and countless other people that go live. So, you know, the second thing is mental health calls. The top two things that get people killed by police don't need to do. Other people can do that. You know, so that's what to me it looks like. And then what's the third thing? I guess it depends on every city, but maybe house calls, civil calls. A lot of times police do need to show up to that, but there's other ways that you can reduce what police do to such an extent that they barely even exist. You know what I mean? And growing up over here for a long part of my life, just seeing this, a lot of it it's crazy. A lot of it is beautiful, and then other parts are just saddening and disturbing, but I don't think that there's been any progress for real. Like you said, no laws have been changed. And in like the epicenter, the mecca of where all this is taking place around the entire world, we have passed nothing. New York, Cuomo just got rid of qualified immunity. These bitches can't change anything. Y'all can't do anything. And you know, we have these, who is it? Not the senators, our senators. There's a couple of them just holding shit back. You know, they're old, they'll die off soon, and shit'll be able to change. But as long as a lot of these boomers are still in place of power and able to hold shit back, like special session, nah, cancel it. Special session, cancel it. You know, so we're close, I think. But I think before it gets better, it'll get worse. I don't think it'll just miraculously, progress. No, it's gonna get worse.
What's your feeling about just being in the neighborhood, being a resident of this neighborhood,
right,
and what you've seen over the last year?
Like, it's love, though, you know. So initially I loved it, and I'm glad that we're able to share space like this for sure. But what it is, it's weak that such an atrocity has to happen in order for us to come together like this. But you know, progress is the process. So growing up here, it didn't look like this at all, and there's still some problems that go on here, just like anywhere. But it's great that we are able to come together. That's a step that maybe wouldn't, like Minneapolis, so many people get murdered by the police here. It's crazy. You know, we had November 2015, we had Jamar Clark. Then, what was it, 2016, 2017, Philando. Then, you know, so it's like we're already ready for it or something. But, yeah.
Well, we had the tumultuous day, as you said.
Right.
We had another person killed, and then the city encroaching on an area that's a sacred space for a man that was killed by the police.
Right.
So, what do you want to see from the rest of this summer, the rest of this month, let's just say June, and what is your hope for this summer?
So people are running for city council right now. Yeah, this is y'all time, but y'all are not at either one of these. Where was Alondra Cano today? Where was, she's not running anymore, but the president of the city council, she's uptown. Where were you at? Y'all work hand in hand with the mayor. Where were y'all at? You know, I want to see people that do have more power than just the regular civilians doing more. You know, do more than what you paid for. None of us get paid to do this, and we're out here, you know. So moving forward in the next month, I want to see more of us coming out, more people that are in the system doing more work, like city council members. One of them did speak. I don't know her name, but one of them spoke. I forgot her name. This might be her ward, actually. No, is this Alondra Cano's? Regardless.
This is like on the corner of Cano and Jenkins.
It might be Jenkins that came out with the dreads, right? With the locks? Yeah, it was Jenkins. She spoke then. But I just hope we can keep coming together. Right.
Well, I think Jenkins was for it. But, yeah. I thought she was for it.
I thought she was for it.
Opening it up for a while.
Right. But you know,
I would trust your judgment first. If you're around here, I'll trust you.
Too much politics, though. Like Mayor Fry, if you just want to do what your campaign funders ask you to do, just be honest, bro. You don't have to lie all the time and be like, this is a sacred space. As long as the people want it, and then you open it up and you do it in this sneaky ass manner. Y'all are the city. Y'all are the city. Why would y'all sneak into y'all? You know, what was there, a list of 21 demands and they did one of them? 24 and they did one? Y'all didn't even do 10%. Y'all didn't even do 5%. You know, crazy. So it just goes to show that like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better. they're instigating the worsening of it. They're okay with it getting worse, you know. So hopefully it doesn't. But I feel like that's just what has to happen. Maybe, I don't know.
Any last words you want to say?
Man, I always say it, but thank you for being out here, bro. Peace.
Hey, if it weren't for people like you, we wouldn't have nothing to cover. So thank you.
Man, hey, 1,000. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, bro. Man, you out here all night then?
No, I'll probably be out here a couple more hours.
Facts. Love, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for
speaking.
I want to speak. That was Lavish Mac. You can check out his story, 731 miles to justice. Thank you. Appreciate you. He walked from Minneapolis to Louisville last year on a quest for justice, bringing up and focusing on victims of police killing. This is the People's Way right here at George Floyd Square. Give me a second. I'm going to check out my phone for a second. You can introduce yourself if you want, otherwise you can just talk. What happened uptown? There was another man killed by authorities. Can you tell us what you know and what was the scene like?
Yeah, I was just talking to King Demetrius about it. So apparently the story is that they shot him 10 times for like he had a dangerous weapon thing out for him, and so they ended up shooting him 10 times. And so yeah, that's what it is. So my day started. My name is DJ Hooker. I organize a TCC for J. And yeah, my day started around 6:45 today. Being here one day, invaded the square. And it was about, they got here around 4:30 or 5. I got here around 6:40. Yeah, there was about 100 workers. Agape came in here and helped. They didn't need any cops or National Guard because they had Agape, who is on their payroll. That was helping them out and making sure that people didn't stop them. I tried to get in front of the vehicles and stop them from doing stuff. They proceeded to assault me. I was in between a forklift to stop them from moving stuff. The forklift was lifted. They pushed me over the forklift and then proceeded to jump in my face and tell me to move around and all this stuff. And then later on they attacked me again and jumping in my face, trying to intimidate me, tell me who I am, and da-da-da-da-da, and they're going to kick me out the space and all this stuff. So then we started organizing the event that we just had happen here at the square, and that was supposed to be at 5:30, and then sometime around 2 o'clock, I believe, like we found out that something had happened on Lake, so we took off and went down the lake, and I stayed there all the way until like 5:20 right before this event came and headed back over here. So
long, busy day.
Yep, it's a long day.
Some trauma. Can you talk about some of the stuff you saw this morning?
Yeah, what I see is a resistance to actually start a healing process. What I see is, I'm seeing glimpses of last year when the National Guard came out and started shooting at people. I'm seeing how it leaked into the summertime. I'm seeing how they killed Delilah Eid right down the street. I'm seeing how they killed Dante Wright and lynched him in broad daylight. I'm seeing how they decided that they were going to militarize all the police and then turn downtown into a military occupation because all they want to do is escalate the situation. They don't want any healing. We haven't had any fucking systemic change in the last year, and they won't let us heal. They won't let us breathe. Today, they come here and they attack and they evade the sacred space. And while they do that, they're still killing us because there's been nothing passed to stop them. There's been nothing.
You were active, very active this last year. Put in a lot of work, a lot of time. That seemed to dedicate your life to it. What do you think is the better pathway forward, if there is a better way to get that change that you're fighting for?
Yeah, well, we just gotta keep on them. I mean, we've got some victories over the last year, but we need to make sure that we're not just satisfied with them giving us crumbs, right? Giving us the conviction, and but in realizing that like the videos are coming out faster for the officers and stuff like that after the shootings, right? Because they know that a bunch of people are going to show up. They know that people care. They know that we're out here, right? But we also need to push that change, and we need to ask for more. We need to get that systemic change. Things like community control of the police, things like ending qualified immunity, things like, making sure that our neighborhoods are safe, right? And so that's what we need to make sure that we're pushing out here, because this is just getting ridiculous. They're just trying to. It's just a really tough day.
What else would you want? What would you want to say to those folks that are watching that are like, well, like this is it, like the state wins again type of thing? What would you want to say to that?
Yeah, well, the state only wins if y'all stay home. And let me tell y'all, the revolution will not be televised. Get your ass out here, okay? Because this is our streets, and you got to remember that all the power belongs to the people. And that's what we saw in the last year, right? All the politicians want to come out and they say, oh, look what we did. We got Chauvin, we did this, and blah, blah, blah. But, like, at the end of the day, like, that was us. We've been out there every single day. Rain, sleet, or snow. I mean, we was out here in the wintertime. So we need to realize that those are our victories and that they're scared of us right now because we understand the power of the people. They know that they can't just go around killing people without thousands of people showing up in front of their police precinct like we saw with Dante Wright for 14 consecutive days. So we need to understand now. We need to keep moving. But the thing is, the system, especially the capitalist system, is so good at like just cranking out bullshit, right? And just trying to make us keep busy and trying to zap all our energy. Because we also, do I think it's an accident that they invaded Floyd Town when they had a big ass at the line 3? For like what, Friday, Saturday through Tuesday, they had a big thing up there planned that they wanted a bunch of people to come. Is it a coincidence that they invaded on the day right before that was going to start? Things that make you go, right? You know what I mean? So we need to realize that, like, this is all planned. They're attacking us from all angles, like. And so the only solution is like more people got to care. More people got to get out here and show that they care, right?
Anything else you'd like to add? It's a long day. I don't want to take you too much longer.
Black trans lives matter, and happy Pride! Woo!
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We're in the Uptown right now.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people are going to be there and how long it's going to be.
Yeah, I heard it's still got.
So we'll see.
All right, man.
Hi, I just wanted to give you my cash because I watch you guys all the time, and I just appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you're here. So yeah.
I'm Nico.
Nice to meet you. I'm Elisa. I'm Terry. I recognize your voice. Because I tune into the trial every day.
Oh yeah, you're watching the trial?
Yeah.
A lot of the voice was Dan.
Yes, but I see you everywhere. So
Thank you so much.
How much bacon do you for you?
5 bacon.
But you're in other states. But how much is that? Because you're so big.
We are in other states, yes. Yep. We have Alex in Denver, and Chris in Philly, and Dan out in Boston. And then D out in South Africa.
Oh, cool. Y'all international.
Hey.
That's awesome.
It's good to meet you all. Thank you so much.
I don't know what the dog is. Yeah, I think
Let's grab something real quick. I'm gonna do another couple of interviews. Give me a second. Again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here live at George Floyd Square. You see the concrete barricades in front of the art and the spot where George Floyd was killed. That is new. The city did that today. They maneuvered the barricades from the streets and brought them over here. Give me a few seconds to maneuver some things. See a lot of the snacks. This is the People's Way. Meetings and everything happen up here. Cats are going uptown right now. Again, there was a murder uptown. These are the 24 demands. This is some artwork, and then Paul Castaway and Hardell Sherrill, done by Wes and Savage YG for the Hardell Sherrill. Wes did the Paul Castaway. You see two sort of caretakers right here, Janelle and Vine. They've been up here a long time, a lot of the time. This community is gathered right here. The cool people.
Hey, what up?
Good to see you. All right, all right. Can I come listen to you all in a minute? Live streaming. We get a little quick conversation. If not, don't worry about it. I won't. Oh. Oh.
I'm good. I'm just, what I mean is I'm just a little
Scattered? All right, I'll be right back. I'll let you all prepare. Cool. Thank you. I'm going to show you all real quick just a couple things. This was grocery distribution right here. This is grocery distribution. And the People's Closet over here. And then the West Barricade is up the block. And now it's just manned by people. So there is still a concrete barrier, but also just people are there. And that's the People's Closet in that bus shelter. And we'll get over here and get a little conversation, get into a conversation with some of the folks that are here. Get a grasp on what happened today, what their thought process is. What up? How you doing? I'm Nico. Good to meet you, bro. I'm live streaming. You want to talk at all at some point? Would you want to talk at all at some point?
Yeah, give me
Yep. We'll grab some interviews. Cool now?
What the fuck we were talking about? We were talking about empathy. We were
also talking about Agape and like people in the movement, holding them to account, and the difficulties in doing so.
Well, and it's not just about them. It's about like what I was trying to say is that like everybody needs to drop their egos, and that's hard. Yeah. Especially when your ego and your identity is caught up in the politics. You don't got a choice.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I just feel like it's hard. Like, you're very good with empathy, and I feel like I'm someone who's just like, okay, you're taking money from cops.
Yes.
You're a collaborator.
Taking money from the city.
From the city.
Who employs cops and them.
Did you?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But that was a while ago.
I make that differentiation because that matters to them.
Okay. Yeah. Like, the point is they're doing the bidding of the city.
Yes.
So it's just like, at that point, you know, it's just like that trust is violated. And I feel like that's why we showed that film about the cartels. Because I wanted...
And I invited them all.
Of course, no one wants to come to the educational nights.
Unless
wait, when are the
political education
nights? Every
kids.
Friday
Political
night.
education.
Bro, that's Friday. Can y'all pick a day that like
what movie?
Good shit.
We watched the movie Cartel Land, and it talks
Yo,
about.
and you know what? A few people came up to me today and were like, "That shit, Cartel Lands is happening," and I was like,
Yes. So Cartel Land is basically it's a documentary about like cartels in Mexico and how a lot of towns have been dealing with that, you know, because the police and the state are collaborating with the drug cartels, and so in it you have these defense forces come about.
Community defense, autonomous community defense groups.
Amazing. And if they had like a broader revolutionary program, they could have maybe built some institutions to rival the state, but their only politics was like, oh, cartel's bad. And those groups ended up being deputized by the police.
And then they became
part of the state.
They joined the fucking cartel, and I was like, nah.
And that's why we showed the documentary, to have a conversation about the movement here and how these groups that I have no doubt started with the best of intentions get co-opted. And that's why I was writing about this online today, that like I'm not super impressed just because I see black men in guns and matching outfits.
I also don't want to belittle their intelligence. They do have politics, but a lot of them have individual politics, and they are not all in agreement. Like just because they're in Agape, they're even within that, they're not all in agreement.
Yeah, I want to add on that, and then also there's this whole assumption of like the co-option of like criminal organizations by the police, when the police have always been originally a criminal organization that has been deputized by the state.
Yeah.
So just in like that subject and how we kind of frame things in like cartelization, one thing that's important to note in that case is there's a difference between a criminal organization becoming the state, as in the case of the police department, and being in a situation of poverty. Because a lot of these, like, no, I'm going to be like dead ass and honest about it. Like, the economic opportunities when you go through the system and how you get deputized by the system is the fact that the system takes away your ability to sustain and support yourself. As a result, the system owns you. So like there's like this whole affirmation of like agency oftentimes to people that is completely is just completely alien to the fact of the daily struggles of a person. When your stomach's touching your back, you're the way you make decisions is different.
I mean, but we have to deal with that as is. Like the fact is, if you are a force that's collaborating with the state and you do the interest of the state, then it's just like, you know what I mean? Like we
can't. Are you a college educated person?
Yeah, I'm a college educated person.
You're collaborating with the state.
Because I went to college.
I'm serious. I'm serious about it.
So it's the same thing. I went to college. It's the same thing as me, like taking down barricades and pushing people and getting in their face.
To an extent, it is. Yeah.
I disagree.
Well,
I think what's happening is deeper than that in this specific spot.
Yeah.
In that, because of a lot of their background in this specific place in the last 30 years, as like before, you know, it's almost like there's trauma that is being used by the city to drive them to do something against their people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
like it has nothing. It's hard for them to see the bigger picture if they're like, people aren't. We can't tell them what their liberation looks like. So that's why all day I've just been like listen what they have to say, and also don't let. I kept repeating to some people that were hurting, where I was saying, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. If what they're saying about you isn't true, then don't let it stick.
And I just want to talk a little bit about kind of like how the intellectualization of human relationships works to the state's advantage, because I'm going to be honest, the state doesn't exist. The state is a group of people that is legitimized by institutions. The institution of education legitimizes those people as the quote-unquote state, affording them powers that we could seize ourselves at any point. So that when we come into a situation and we attempt to apply a paradigm to human relationships, what ends up happening is people are forced to those extremes because, again, we're eliminating options.
So I think the state does exist, and what makes it exist is organized violence. I feel like for instance, the conversation around borders. Okay, we can argue like there are no borders, but the fact that there's violence inflicted on people for crossing borders makes it real.
Well, no, that's missing the point. The idea is the point that I'm saying is when we create the idea of the state and we say there is a state, we rob the people who are ordering that organized violence of agency within it and attributing it to a larger entity. Let's case in point, like the fact that like the person, do we know who organized this entire operation and moved those barricades? Do we have a name?
I mean, it was a combination of the Office of Violence Prevention, Agape, Public Works.
A name, a person.
No, it's a lot of people.
And that's the problem. Because in that case, how can you have a system of accountability when you are constantly attributing individual orders and actions and organized violence to institutions rather than people who are commissioning and organizing that violence?
That's what I mean by when I say don't blanket statement Agape.
Exactly, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. When I'm like, and also recognize that the city and the city workers and this situation was created by them, not by Agape.
Yeah.
They were presented to Agape saying the options are the city comes in here with a bunch of cops and causes a bunch of violence, or you soften the blow.
Yeah.
When they made up that first part, like, yeah, that could happen, but it also could not happen.
And that's like, and that's the sad thing.
That's a manipulative shit.
And that's the real purpose of organized violence, because the real goal of organized violence is not to kill, not to manipulate, but to create trauma that creates an image and a memory in people's minds where when they think about a situation, they think about the decisions that they have, they view it through the lens of that experience.
So how would you deal with this situation where there's I would say the counterinsurgency threat is real,
yes,
with like people, with basically them trying to do them doing the bidding of the city, getting paid for it. Like, I want to know, like the way I see it. Okay, there's a threat. How do we deal with that?
First,
how do you deal with that?
Do you like water?
You like water?
Like, here's the thing. When it comes to a threat, like what happened today with Agape, right? The barricades were moved, right? Put them back.
But you can't just
people did that immediately.
But they have to be held accountable.
Well, here's the difference thing. Like, when we say they have to be held accountable.
For what?
That's the first thing. And the second thing is, what does accountability look like? In terms of like my belief system at the end of the day, accountability is it's our collective accountabilities to talk about the situation, what happened, and what different people's roles in it, so we fully understand why the decision and why we as a collective community reached this point. Because the assignment of factions and all these other different people is what destroys the accountability, because it destroys that relationship. And that's the problem. Because that's how the tactic actually works. Because if at the end of the day we're coming in and go like, oh, they're a counterinsurgency threat, oh, they're an up, oh, they're this and that thing, the black community is divided. And that's the goal.
That's exactly what they want. Yeah. And the moment you're trying to blanket say but somebody as other or against, you're already divided.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying like, from an intellectual standpoint, when we take those narratives and those paradigms and we apply it into a situation where we don't have those relationships to people in that situation, that's when we start treating people like property.
Yeah.
We start saying that you are Agape, you are black, you are an immigrant, you are all of these things because I have been educated to view you as that.
I mean, so you're saying we need to like maintain positive relationships with these people?
No, it doesn't have to be positive. It's just a relationship to continue the conversation and to continue understanding the situation.
You don't need to be abused and take it.
Well, I mean, I have friends that were like shoved and pushed by them today, which kind of pisses me off.
So is the conversation about vengeance, or is it about how do we protect ourselves in a situation?
I'm talking about.
No, but I'm being
but
like
you
very.
feel like you're putting a lot of words in my mouth.
I am just asking a question.
Okay, so like.
Devil's advocate, motherfucker.
I'm always that's what I do.
So like.
He's pushing.
Yeah, so I'm not saying vengeance, but I think there needs to be clear, like, yo, what you're doing was not okay today. Like, this was like undermining the movement that you're saying that you're standing for. I think we have to be very, like, it doesn't mean I'm saying end the relationship, but be very clear about, like, yo, this was not cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And that needs to be heard, and that conversation needs to be had with a bunch of people. Not like one leader going to another leader saying this. It needs to be like today. I went and talked to a lot of people, not just a circle.
Yeah.
It's people going to each other back and forth, having a lot of smaller conversations so that we can come together. I don't think we're going to be able to come together as a big group until all those like hurt, all those feelings are felt together and processed. Because like what I heard a lot of today when I had a lot of conversations on the side was they don't care, we feel left out, you didn't ask, I don't know, that's not my spot. And I went, okay, who did you need to ask? Who did you need invited you? People are asking each other all the time, and not everybody's meeting each other where they're at because everybody's having a different communication. There was a communication breakdown that got us here. And it's nobody's fault and everybody's fault, you know?
It's everybody's. It's a question of the intention at the end of the day.
What's the agenda? What's your intention?
Yeah.
Where are we gonna go together?
If the intention,
because they're still there, then I'm gonna like a lot of them live here. I live here. I'm not gonna
exactly.
And I'm not gonna pretend they don't live here. I'm not a passive aggressive Minnesotan. I'm gonna be like, hello, let's talk.
And I mean, as far as like that's concerned, that's like the message that I preach at the end of the day. Is it's like people are still going to be here, and that's how you start moving away from a philosophy of organized violence. Because if we operate under a mindset of it's like someone should stand up to them, someone should be that hero, someone should intervene, and someone should do that, we just see more organized violence. We see more legitimization of violence.
Everybody.
But what changes behavior is those individual conversations where people are saying, you hurt me in this way. Hey, what was going on, man, when that happened? Hey, what was going on in this situation? What's going through your mind? And that's what this space has evolved into. Like, that's the thing that's like really powerful about this space in a lot of ways. Because oftentimes when I fuck up, I don't hear it from one person. Someone doesn't come out to like tell me I'm wrong. Multiple people have conversations and seek understanding.
Yeah.
And seek understanding as why something happened. Because individual choice is extremely limited, but collective agency is powerful.
Yeah, it's not one person's job to do everything. Yeah. And it's not like just because I have a few lanes doesn't mean I'm the only one in that lane.
Yeah.
You know?
We're all going in the same direction, and it's like part of the other thing is it's like, do you want to exist in a society where you can fail, where you can fuck up, and people will take care of you?
Yeah.
Or do you want to live in a society
that expects you to be perfect,
drive alienation, where we say we don't associate with this person, we don't do it with this person, and we've tried to do that. That has been a tactic that has been used in certain instances, and they're still here. They're still part of our community.
Right. But you also don't like one like personal thing that I ascribe to is everybody moves different. But I have to assume the best of people.
Yeah.
You know, and I put that out there. I say I'm gonna treat everybody with kindness and let them tell on themselves.
Yeah.
But if they are gonna take my kindness and use it against me more than once, then I'm not going to move around until they come to me.
Well, that's why the conversation has always been about defense, not about offense and punishment. How the question of how do we protect ourselves in situations. A lot of the reasons why today, for example, this city looks like a fool is because people have spent the last year learning how to protect themselves from the state.
Yep.
Learning how to move around, learning how to respond, interpret a situation.
And there were some people that were surprised, and I said, why? We're people over property. They were moving property around.
Yeah.
We would have put the back call out if people were getting hurt.
Like, we've been having conversations about this for like months, like all the way back. There was like full-on plan.
But the moment people are starting to get hurt, come out.
Yeah.
But I mean, come out either way. What I said, the only thing I told a bunch of people was they're moving the barricades.
Yeah.
And if that information drives you to come out here, great. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna tell you come out.
And
that's my own personal thing. You know, I tell you come out if you want to. Come out if you feel so moved.
So you've been up here. You're a resident right up the block.
Yeah.
Did you know this was gonna happen to you?
I didn't know it was gonna happen today. I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't know what it was gonna look like, but I had a feeling. Because there's been rumors for a long time. Rumors have been going around for a month, and they got heightened last week. Rumors got heightened after anniversary, after Memorial Weekend, and people really pushed me saying, it's happening this Sunday, and I was like, I don't think Monday on a holiday they're gonna pay city workers triple pay because the city is property over people.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. But I'm gonna make sure there's eyes out here. I'm gonna check in and tell people like we always do. Because community defense is people over property. If there's not people out here to defend, then people can go home. If it's just property, I try to make sure there's eyes out so we can film their ass so they can show their ass. Like,
and I would also add, there's also an element of it's like once you gain that understanding where you start to understand the patterns of oppression type of piece, and that's a part of like being like making, in my mind, and it's like this is something I'm still learning, but making resistance a habit. Is you start to think about, okay, how are my people moving in a situation, and how do I move with them, and bringing an element of awareness to like, just like being in community, because oftentimes, like when I got in this situation, it's like, these are the people like, Andy is my cue, really at the end of the day, in terms of how I need to move in a community and how I need to move in a situation, because I know how Andy handles the situation. Same with King. Same with a lot of people. I look to people for understanding because adaptive mimicry is how every animal species, including our own, assembles information. But it's something that we have been taught to forget because we've adopted this mindset of it's us versus them or them versus us.
Or it's individual, every man for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a line with that logic? Like at what point, how do I put it? At what point do we say, like, okay, this person's clearly has interests that are oppositional to ours.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with them accordingly.
Yeah, that is a
like,
good
what
question.
Is that? Because for me, I'm like, okay, I think of like the ruling class, which is like a big vague name for like a bunch of rich fuckers.
Right.
But it's just like, oh, sorry, like, no. But it's just like, okay, those people have clear interests that oppose mine, and they will inflict unspeakable violence, all kinds of different sorts of violence to keep that power. And I'm just like, no, I don't believe that we're going to be able to resolve like these contradictions in capitalism in a peaceful way. Like I just don't, I don't see that as possible.
And that's the choice. Like for me, like
I agree with you.
For me, the point, like if we choose the warrior's path, the biggest thing when it comes down to it, and this is where like where I feel like there's a real problem with intellectualism because it blares what the warrior's path entails. Because really, at the end of the day, if we're going to say like we're going to fight a violent revolution, we're going to resist, and we're going to commit to this struggle, a lot of people that we love are going to die. And that's something that people gotta know. And that's something you gotta know, that it becomes a military situation where we have to be disciplined, where we have to be correct, we have to be consistent.
But militant doesn't have to be military.
It doesn't, but what I'm saying is if you look at, for example, in like, I grew up in East Africa. I grew up with a lot of those anti-colonial, anti-capitalist movements who turned to then recruit child soldiers to win the war. Because when you create a situation where I am willing to use violence, what you're saying is I am willing to inflict trauma and endure trauma against me. And when you do that, a whole lot of decisions that we said are beneath us and we're not going to make suddenly are on the table because we're going through very traumatic experiences. And that's the thing where I say like we can say class, we can say race, we can say capitalism, we can say all these words and all this other end of the day, and it's fine. But until we are prepared to make that sacrifice as people, when we are prepared to say goodbye to our friends and others, we should watch how we step.
We should what?
Watch how we step.
So I say this because looking at this course of human history, like I don't see an example where they have let us resolve these.
Who wrote history?
So, I mean, the common thing is, you're doing the Socratic method on me. So, do you want to just tell me what you're thinking?
No, it's not a rhetorical question. I'm asking a serious question. Who wrote history?
Okay. Victors, but you can also look at people's histories.
Okay.
Like, you know, I look at, like the Haitian Revolution, let's give that as an example. Like, that's a people's history where people had to fight and struggle to destroy slavery. And then they were in a position where they could aid revolutions in different parts of the world with the agreement that they would let go of slavery. I mean, so that's just one small example where it's just like it happened because of a militant struggle. And what I'm saying is, I can't think of a time where like economic relations were able to be peacefully transferred from someone who was like in a position of power and taking from other people, and people getting that back without having to be in some kind of struggle. I would rather it happen that way because I don't really like violence.
May I bring up some counterexamples?
Yeah.
Velvet Revolution in the 1980s, Czechoslovakia, Carnation Revolution, 1972, fall of apartheid, 1994, because in the way that you've constructed history, for example, the reason why that revolution occurred, in your argument, is through the force of arms, rather than the organization, the communalization, the formation of...
all a part of that.
No, but what I'm saying is, but where is your focus? Like,
that's all part of, that's what I talk about. That's what I mean when I talk about militant struggle. It requires all of those things.
And what I'm saying is, the last part, the militancy, and the other piece, it doesn't. When it comes to like that level of struggle and the other thing, and when we like, if you want to talk about like the Haitian Revolution, for example, let's not just talk about the events that led up to that revolution, let's talk about the events that followed and what happened within Haiti. And that's the issue when it comes to quote-unquote militancy. We still haven't taken ownership of the fact of what does the aftermath look like, what does the culture look like, most important.
But I don't think I think what happened to Haiti was, again, the ability of other, Western states to inflict violence on them, to punish them for the revolution that they achieved. And there's punishing of them still to this day.
So if we want to play that game, we can look at other violent armed struggles that came in a position of economic power. So, for example, American Revolution is an example in that case. A violent struggle to transfer power that resulted in the exploitation of our people.
Yeah.
And that's my point. It is what happened. You create the culture of militancy. How do you prevent it from replicating the culture of oppression?
Well, I mean, actually, this is something I was talking about today, and it goes back to what we're talking about with Agape, which is like, I'm not impressed just because people are organized and are carrying guns down the street. Like, you have to have, it's about, what is your political vision?
What is your political vision?
No, I'm talking in a general sense of like, I want to know one's political vision before like being like, oh, because you're militant, therefore that's awesome. Like, I hear that, I think people are really quick to jump to that without being like, oh, okay, they're, about community, they're about like, what do you call it, mutual aid projects, and they're about, anti-capitalism, anti-imperialism, like, they're for workers' councils and community councils and all of those things that are necessary. And what I'm trying to say is, do you think, I want to ask you a question, do you think those in power, capitalists, will allow us to get rid of capitalism in a totally peaceful way? Like, do you think that's possible?
I think well, how I would think about it is, first, when we say those in power, power is not a stagnant thing. It's not a static dice. Power changes, it evolves, it shifts, it moves. And where I've seen like violent revolution happen, it's because power is being lost by those in power, and they're trying to keep it. And oftentimes the violence that is seen is the reaction by institutions of oppression as the sake of self-preservation. If we look at revolutions and major movements in history, for example, you can say French Revolution, you can say Communist Revolution, you can say all of it. All that was driven by urbanism. It was driven by urbanization of communities.
Yeah.
The attempt to repress that violently is not what defeated the revolution. The revolution had already happened, just like the revolution is happening here. People are just waking up to that fact. And what ultimately will happen with even those in power is at the end of the day, people are people, and they look at it and they go like, is it worth the suffering? Is it worth my suffering? Is it worth the suffering I'm causing other human beings? Not really. And what ends up happening is oppressive systems collapse. The systems that replace it are where the problem starts to arise.
Okay, it's your job to think super big, and it's my job to think super small.
We were having a broader conversation.
Okay, never mind.
And it's not.
Don't feel like you're getting kicked out.
And it's not. And like for me, I don't believe in political vision because that is a very like Puritan Protestant ideal that I need to have a vision for what society is. my belief is that life, leadership, community is about helping everyone self-actualize, which means not having a vision is super powerful.
I think it's important to have vision. I think the system has taken that from us.
We are the system.
I think that's like to...
Do you have a cell phone?
Yeah, I don't think that's...
Do you know what went into making that cell phone?
I understand, but I'm not into this argument of like, I bought something, therefore I'm just like the capitalist. Like we are forced to participate in capitalism.
So what?
That's the very thing we don't have. Like what? That's what I'm arguing about. Political vision is just like that idea of being able to collectively with others dream and like this space here, like this is a collection of a lot of different visions and dreams coming together. Yeah. But it's not just on an individual level, it's on a collective level as well. Yeah. Right? And so I don't see anything negative about political vision. I think it's like it gives us an opportunity to tap into what kind of, the kind of world we want to be in, and that's creative, and it's fun, and it's community, and it's handing out food, and it's like doing gardening, and it's like it's all these things, and it's like I think we should be able. I think that's an important part of like that process of becoming free is you have to see yourself as free.
You've been to Epcot?
What?
You've been to Disney World?
Yeah.
So atop the whole idea of like political vision and things, when Walt Disney built Disney World, he had a vision for how people should live. He basically said there should be no crime, there should be no mess. People who work there weren't even allowed to go to the bathroom. I don't even want to hear about this. Like the whole idea of like I'm projecting a vision on people of what the world should be is capitalism.
Yeah,
I don't say that's capitalism.
Telling people how they should live.
That's not what a political vision doesn't have to be a top-down thing. I think it's also a collective process.
I think we might be saying the same thing, but I'm using different terminology.
Possibly.
To split it away from the fact of the whole thing is it's like class, all of these terms that were written by white men. Honestly, I'm gonna be really straight up about it. Like most of the time we have conversations about capitalism, socialism, communism, class. We're all done by rich white intellectual men. And that was the language we are using in conversation. But what I feel about is I'm talking about like a Gabar, recognizing we need a diversity of community and culture to carve a vision so we understand how different people live. I'm talking about like Lychee and understanding what is community harmony, understanding that like society doesn't need to progress all the time. It's about
I agree with that.
Self-accountability.
I mean, yeah.
And that's why when we talk about political vision, we really need to get down to the question of what is the language we're using? Is the language that because like even the English language, every word is designed to be exact. And as a result, it is designed as a language to divide. And so when we start having these conversations and talking uses terminology, we fall and perpetuate systems of violence. And the reason why I say you bought a cell phone and stuff like that, I'm not saying that to be accusatory, but we have to be conscious of the agency we do have. We have to be conscious of the decisions we do make.
I think this focuses, and this is what I'm very critical of, like, for instance, so I'm very involved in environmental justice work, and the idea that something I push back against all the time is just like this idea of individual consumer choices are going to somehow bring substantial change.
It's not about bringing substantial change to the world, it's about bringing substantial change to ourselves.
See, I'm very critical of it in terms of like a strategy, because it's like people focus so much energy on that and not the fact that like a handful of companies are producing the majority of CO2 emissions and
military.
And military. Like what it does, it places the blame on you as an individual person. And it keeps you from looking at the source of the problem, which is militarism, which is like, again, I'm going to say it, like the capitalist class. So I think that falls right into the hands of corporations, because they want you to spend all your time thinking about are you walking to work? What did you buy? This and that. They want your energy to be all there and not on them.
There's a difference between investing your energy in something and being aware of the impact that you have in your daily life. When we talk about like those 6 corporations, when we talk about the economic systems that exist, all I'm saying is being aware of the fact that the chromium in that cell phone, for example, probably came from the Democratic Republic of Congo or West Africa.
I'm aware of this.
Of the handful of companies that control superconductors in China and East Asia, a lot of that who is producing that cell phone is slave labor. And bringing awareness to that is about realizing the power our individual choices and actions do have. And that's not saying that by me acknowledging that and bringing awareness to that, that I'm suddenly like deflating or deflecting from the personal responsibility corporation and the capitalist class has, as you call. But at the end of the day, when we say capitalist class, if I'm not able to demonstrate the same awareness and I am demanding it from those in power, then I can't correct those systems. I can't defeat those systems because I haven't learned to live without those systems.
No, I still feel like it verges too much on like this individualism.
It's not individualism, it's awareness. It's awareness of the fact that it's like people need water, people need care, and realizing that it's like the things that I need and take for granted are impacting those around me.
I have no problem with awareness, but like I'm talking about a strategy to end these things.
And I'm giving you a strategy.
And to me, it seems like you're very focused on like individual transformation and individual like actions, and not so much like broader collective
action. By having this conversation with you, by this being filmed and all the like, I don't even follow Unicorn Riot, just appear like all the other media organizations. By holding space with other people, by having a conversation, this is collective action.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole
I'd agree with that.
And the whole idea of it's like it has to be a strategy, is the reason which forces it to be individually led, because then it becomes a question of grandstanding. It becomes a question of what is my initiative. But if you look around, if you talk to everybody here in this space and ask them what is your political vision, it's going to get very divisive very quickly. And I'm not saying don't have that conversation.
I think we have to have that conversation, and that's okay.
I think it's nice to be in a space where we are not constantly being held to our belief systems and our words, and that's where it's like when you talk about individualism, when you talk about how there needs to be a strategy, there needs to be this and all this other stuff, I still don't get a sense of, if we're talking about collective action, where's the appreciation for the collective? Where is the awareness of the collective? That's all I'm saying.
So I don't know what I said that would negate collective action.
What you said is, where is the strategy?
You can have collective strategy.
How do you formulate a collective strategy?
So I know they have
24 demands here.
24 demands here. Do you know how that list came about? It's not my place to talk about.
Okay.
That list came about because there are a lot of people in this where we all stood for justice, and we reached in a position where the city basically said, what do you want? And it was clear what we wanted. The city goes like, that's not tangible for us. And so what happened? People went to each other and talked. And that's what I'm saying about the strategy. If the city actually took a step back for a second and basically said, just walked around, like I can count on one hand how many times city council members have been here. But if they walked around, talked to their constituents, talked to people about what is your life like, ask general questions, as opposed to what is a strategy, give me a 10-point plan. And I work in business consulting. Like, I am part of that capitalist class, so I know what the psychology is of it. What is the goal? What are we trying to achieve? What is the progress? People don't think like that. People think about, how are my kids doing? I haven't gotten to talk to my relative. I haven't talked to them. And I feel like if this year has taught anyone, like COVID, the pandemic, or anything, it's that people are tired of being forced to come up with strategies. People are getting tired of being forced to legitimize and justify themselves and say, this is who I am. People just want to exist. And systems should reflect that.
I think it's really important to have strategy, because I've been a part of a number of different spaces, movement spaces, where people, especially people who I don't like the word activist, but I use it because that's like what people can like understand the language people use. So people who I guess would be considered activists, always doing things, and they get burned out so quickly. And I've been in spaces where I'm like, okay, so we're gonna do an action. What's the goal? What do you want to come out of it? And it's just like, no, we just want to no, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about how this gets us from point A to point B. I think that kind of thinking is really important, and it keeps things that we do from being like, oh, we had a moment and then the moment passes and then it gets co-opted again by capitalism, or it gets like, it's really, they're genius at taking our movements and just absorbing them. Like anything that's like considered counterculture, finding a way to absorb that. And that's why I think we have to be vigilant and we have to be aware of what they're going to do. And even though there's things written by dead white men, which is like, you should be critical of it, but also these are people who, you know, civilization, capitalism hit them first. And so I think they're going to have, maybe they have some things that are important to think about. Schema that's hard, that's helpful to break down things and understand how this system operates.
Schema.
I feel like in order to attack all of this on, that we have to like really look at the people in power, like the people who hold positions in power. Like there's a whole political party system, Democrats, Republicans. What does that put in place for like division? But like I believe like they both clearly work together. Yeah. They're like two sides of like the same coin, and I think it's really just about like getting people to understand that first off, in order to like start moving towards real change, because these people are motivated by money and greed and all this division that's happening. There's really a bigger plan that they like don't want us to know, and I don't even know who they are, but like I believe that like truly 100%. There's like something bigger. All of this is interconnected. The stuff happening in Palestine, the genocide here with the Native Americans, and like I'm thinking more bigger picture. And they say history tends to repeat itself, right? So like if we, and they were just saying like if George Floyd wasn't murdered the way he was, and if it wasn't broadcasted to the world in the fashion that it was, this would have been swept under the rug. They would have made up stories, or like they really wanted to pin everything about like how he was on drugs. And like, okay, so what if he was, like, he's still a human being at the end of the day. He still deserves rights. And, you know, he has a family. He meant something to a lot of people. And I think people just need to learn to love each other as people and understand that everybody's got their own stuff going on, and like not to take things so personally, because once you start to understand that, I feel like that's when things get better. And just educating people. Education, I believe, is the answer to everything. Because if you're not educated, you can't have a real conversation with somebody who isn't educated. The amount of people I've tried to talk to about the Palestinian and Israeli conflict, for example, a lot of them believe that, you know, the Israeli army is just an army, but in my eyes, like, I see them as terrorists. They've been bombing homes for decades and centuries, and I don't know, like, that conflict's been going on, and the media doesn't broadcast the Palestinians who are getting bombed every day. They don't broadcast all of that. But they'll tell you that the military is put in place to protect us or to protect our freedoms. And my mom would always tell me, well, if that were true, because when I was a kid, she would always tell me, I would always go to her and be like, oh, well, it's America. Sorry, I'm like all over the place here. But like, I have a lot to say, and yeah. What was I talking about? Military.
Your mom would tell you.
Yeah.
Did your mom tell you about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
like she was just saying, like, because I was younger, so we would have to stand for the flag, the Pledge of Allegiance, all that. And, you know, they wanted to ingrain this belief in our heads that, you know, there's people fighting for our freedom, or there's people protecting us from the monsters overseas. There's no monsters really overseas. They're just people like us, and they have family, friends, and people to take care of. And yeah, there's just like, and my mom would just tell me more stuff about their military, and we have access to other news outlets, so like I'm always seeing a whole other side of this conflict. But I'm going to school, and all these people are praising the military and talking about how they're there for us and our freedom and all this and protecting us. But I'm being shown the exact opposite. And these people are labeled as terrorists. Like, it's just really sad. And I feel like there just needs to be more, like, awareness on it. And, like, I'm not a textbook. I don't know, like, everything, but yeah, I don't know. It was a hard topic to talk about in school because there's always people are like brainwashed essentially to believe in other things by media, and if you're not exposed to that knowledge or like the other side, if you don't know two sides of a story, like just even here with everything that was happening here with the riots and the protests, why were there were press that were getting like attacked, but like media outlets like CNN and Fox and all them like were freely broadcasting, but the little press people were all getting targeted. Like, okay, why? Because they want to twist a story. They want to they want to close all the loopholes, but it's funny because it seems like there's always people who figure out the loopholes, essentially. I don't know.
I think you bring up a really good point, both about education. I think that one of the things that I almost have kind of been thinking about lately is it's like, I don't think education is the answer. I think empathy is the answer. I think
that too.
I think there's like the indoctrination that you talk about in your childhood experience. I relate to in a lot of ways because most of my family members served in the military. If they didn't, they worked for the government. They had a mindset where it was like, we do this for a reason, and it's a good reason. And what's awakened each of us, in a way, over the course of the years is the realization that we know more about the people who are in power, who oppress us, who we follow, who dictate what we do, than our own neighbors and the people around us. And sometimes I think that the reason why like media outlets have that power, why military institutions have that power, is because we place so much focus on their strength and their power rather than the power of people around us. And I really thank you for sharing that, because I think oftentimes I don't bring enough awareness to my neighbors and neighbors who are beyond me. And I appreciate not being educated to a point where I can't see that. And I think that's the one thing that I am very truly, and why I challenge you as ferociously as you.
You're very like, I feel like you're kind of like this towards me.
I am, because you remind me of me, honestly. You remind me of me like literally 2 years ago. You remind me, because I was strategy. When I first came into this square a year ago and we sat by the ducks, I was like, what is our strategy? Well, what are we going to do? What is our goal? How do we oppose that system? But things happened. People died, honestly. People lost loved ones. And it got to a point where people couldn't have those conversations. But the reason why the space has existed is because people value the relationships. And sometimes the strategy thing is the easiest thing to say. What are we doing tomorrow?
Strategy is a lot more, it's complicated, because in order to develop a strategy that is like, that tackles on like all, like essentially these injustices that are happening in the world, like it would take a lot more than just a strategy.
It takes culture. Like we talk about the whole capitalism type thing and like capitalism taking over and that type of thing and co-opted by capitalism. The conversation we were
This was a conversation here at People's Way, George Floyd Square.
You can introduce. Yeah, let's move around a little bit.
All right, I'll ask you questions.
Okay, that'll work.
Right here is good. What's your intro? You can introduce yourself or not. You don't have to.
I'm Hulk Smash.
All right.
Security guard down here.
Tell me about today. What did you experience today? And what is your interpretation of what happened?
I mean, today I got woken up at like 11 o'clock this morning with a dog licking my fucking face, and my roommate saying, "Hey, what happened down on? Check out what happened on 38th of Chicago." I'm like, "What happened? What's up, man? You trying to get out?" But yeah, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened, and then I came down here and I've been down here ever since. So
when you got here, you saw that some of the concrete had been removed.
Yeah.
What'd you see?
I mean, I seen the concrete being moved and everything like that and everything, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's too early for all of this to be going on. And so then we started bringing in materials to make barriers, to make makeshift ones, so we have them.
So you've been security up here. Talk about, are you all leaving? Are you going to hold?
Oh, no, we're not done. We're not done. We're going to be here. If I got to come out of retirement and come back down here doing security, I guess I will then. You feel what I'm saying? And ladies, the fight is real. Fuck is you talking about?
Go ahead. When it comes to the space, you say you've been out here for a while. What has it felt like over this last year? There's a lot of community has.
I mean, we have fought, we've won, we've lost, came up again. We gonna keep fighting until we win again. We got Dante Wright to do it. We got the gentleman that died today. We got a lot of fighting to do. We need y'all. Come down here, help out for real. Anything helps. Just being here, talking, being supportive, whatever the case is. Holla at me.
Yeah.
And please don't believe the fucking hype about it's scary down here. It's not. Because if it was, I'd be geared up in my bulletproof vest. My gun would be on my hip, everything. So it's not like that. You see, I'm in regular clothes. I got a fucking fedora on, y'all. I got a fedora. I don't wear fedoras. People say I look like Bruno Mars too, but I really don't.
All right. Thank you for that. You did talk about the safety. So yesterday I was here, and 20 kindergartners or preschoolers were walking up to my Alicia and walking through a tour with her, and they're from school. And their school teacher brought them up here, and she's teaching them. Talk about safety.
We got kindergartners in this bitch, y'all.
I'm saying.
Kindergartners. If they comfortable enough to come up here, y'all should be able to.
And what was this neighborhood like before that? You know, right? We've had this issue.
I mean, I've only been on this earth for 28 years, so I can't really go into that because I don't know. But I do know, I've been down here long enough to know it's the South Side. Anything can happen. It's Minneapolis. I mean, anything can happen. Just be prepared to hear it and just deal with it. You know, don't run away from it, because if it ain't at you, don't worry about it. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. You're good. Basically what I'm saying, if people don't get it, shut the fuck up and mind your business.
So some of the concrete barricades were moved, not all the way moved out.
Right.
People are now manning the barricades and putting more up.
Oh yeah, of course.
What's going to happen this next week?
We're going to build until we can't build no more. Until we're going to keep going until the cops understand y'all can't fuck with us. Y'all see how many people is out here. Y'all seen how many people we had out here. It's quick. All we got to do is call. People coming. Simple. It's what we do.
Anything else you'd want to say? What like maybe in general, people talk a lot of different plans about this area. What would be your best plan?
All I'm going to say is this, and I'm going to look in the camera when I say this. Go ahead and open up the streets and see what happens.
Thanks.
That's all I got to say. I love y'all. Peace out.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
That was great. I like those.
That was the Hulk, by the way.
See, you guys get lucky and not have me. If you guys would have got lucky, I could have did the whole interview in a British accent too, though, by the way.
In a British accent.
What's up?
I remember your face.
Isn't she
like
beautiful?
all the pictures.
Huh?
Isn't she beautiful? I was just like, oh my god, it's so
No, thank you.
Fedora.
Appreciate it.
Always beautiful. Oh my god, now.
Look,
Oh
look,
shit.
I'm gonna say it in a different accent as too. She's fucking fantastic. In the British accent. In the British accent. You already know.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, I don't remember that. Much love. So again, This is George Floyd Square. That is the West Barricade. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We are reporting live from George Floyd Square from inside. Maddie, how you doing? You want to talk at all?
I want to hear your narrative.
Ah, yeah. You see right here in the streets is graffiti that says "No Justice," K-N-O-W. No streets. That is also a slogan up here with N-O Justice, no streets. And we heard a discussion a little bit ago from some folks that were talking about counterinsurgency, talking about Agape, who played part in the moving of the barricades here with the city, playing the role of the police and not needing the police to come up here. And then we also heard people talking about some of the realities of the way that they organize and the way they would like to organize. And so what you've seen up here beyond that is the rally. We heard from the gatekeeper at the end who said the city can take the barricades back, the barriers back, because they're the one who put them there, and the people will man the barricades again. And so that's what's happening. As you can see over here, people are manning the barricades or humaning the barricades right here. And right here we got two of the caretakers that are up here a lot of time, just sharing a hug and an emotional little moment together. That's Janelle Austin. We heard her speaking a little bit earlier at the rally, and that's Maddie T on the left. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Long time no see.
It's really good to see you.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
for being
too.
out here tonight.
Oh,
How's
thanks.
it going?
All right. You want to talk at all?
Sure.
Yeah.
Happy to talk.
What you can talk
Hi,
about
friends.
today too. You can introduce yourself if you want, and then talk about maybe we'll start with what you saw today, as well here at George Floyd Square and uptown.
Yeah, absolutely. So I transparently can only talk about my true essential experiences, and that was last night. I actually made the healthy decision for the first time in a while to be like, okay, I'm going to try and sleep tonight. I'm going to do that whole bedtime hygiene thing. I'm going to cut off food at a certain time and make sure I take my meds at a certain time and really start to try and track and measure it. So last night I got my first full night's sleep of 12 hours probably in 6 months. And then I wake up at 11 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I'm really happy I slept in finally, because normally I wake up at about 7:30. And I'm like, wow, 11, that's really, really fucking cool. And then I look at my phone. I have a text message from my therapist that says, hey, thinking of you. Let me know if you need anything today. And I'm like, what? What now? What now? So before even opening up Signal or looking at any other media accounts, I just put my phone down, made myself a smoothie, and hopped in the shower because my body needs to have to come first. So then I look at my phone and then I get the rest of the news. It hit really hard because I am one of the folks that has recently worked pretty diligently on essentially beautifying the barricades and adding a lot of the artwork on and making sure that our message is on there. So it hit personally of I know it's not personal, but I'm like, whoa, this thing I just chose to spend a lot of my time on is all of a sudden removed by the city. And it was just artwork. It was just artwork that I did. And then I touched base with all of the black leadership, specifically the black women in the square, of what they needed. And I was told to be on press release duty, to be on social media duty, which is what I've been doing all day. Watch the press release. I live stream that. You can watch a live stream on my Instagram. I did the whole thing. My Instagram handle is _AriEver. It's all on there. I will be adding captions and transcription tomorrow. Because again, I'm all about that transparency around accountability and accessibility. I didn't have it in me to do all of the captions today. And that's fine. But it will be done tomorrow. So it's just been a lot. It's been a lot to hold the grief and to hold the processing and to bear witness to how my immediate community is handling this, because this is my home. I live here. I have dedicated over a year of my life of work here. I have not done anything except for holding down this space for over a year, and it just felt like a huge insult to me. Again, I know it's not about me personally, and I can't help but think of all of the personal connections I have at the city office, that I have in politics, that I have in policy world, because I used to work in that world. I used to live in that world. I was one of that world's darling members for the longest time. And When I got into a car accident due to stress and overworking because of what that world put me through, they immediately brushed me aside. So after spending a year and a half of medical recovery, this happened, and I came out here. And
One second. Let's pause it right there.
Yeah.
I have to change my battery.
A year and a half, 2 years ago, I was also in a car accident that came as a result of me being overworked, overstressed, overburdened in the policy and nonprofit world. And I was in a life-changing car accident, and it radically changed my ability to show up for work and completely nuked my stress tolerance level. And ultimately, I have to put myself first. I have to put my needs first, but also I have to be working within a community that understands how to hold those complexities of accessibility, of truth, of knowledge, of power, of love, of community. And the most powerful thing that we have out here is our ability to hold each other, is our ability to say everyone gets to show up here in all of their truth, all of their glory, all of their goodness, all of the complex traumas and moments in time that brought them to the space, and say, we see you, that is valid. Are you choosing us? Okay, we choose you as well. And so to have city officials out here that I do have personal relationship with, that I have that personal connection with, I know that they could have picked up the phone any number of times over the year and say that they are doing something that the neighborhood wants, where I'm like, you have never once talked to me. I haven't heard from you in years. I haven't heard from you since your systems burned me out so bad that I ended up with a traumatic brain injury that forever altered my ability to work within your system. That's not okay to me. That's not okay to any of us. And so because of my previous knowledge and access and comfort working within the system, that's why I'm trying to sit here and hold up a mirror to it of saying, you lost me. That's your fault. But you will not alienate the rest of my community because of your inability to hold space for all of our needs. And that's what this is. All of this out here is it really is that simple. It's a disconnection of the city, of the government, of these non-living entities that perform as living entities, and they're not, but of all of these officials out here that say, like, well, community this, community that, community this, community the other thing. I'm like, okay, but I haven't seen you. And you know where I live. You have my phone number. We used to text. And you have chosen to ignore those relationships, to ignore those connections, and to pursue a manipulation of truth over time. And especially Andrea Jenkins, especially Mayor Fry, they have manipulated our community into becoming insurgents against a global uprising. And that's shameful. And honestly, real talk, shame on you, Andrea Jenkins. Shame on you, Mayor Fry. But Andrea, you in particular, none of your marginalized identities that you share with your community out here is ever going to fucking protect you. It's not. You let us down. You failed us. You're nothing but a moderate, which means you're a Republican. Do better.
Thank you for that. I know it's a lot. It's some personal stuff, and it means a lot to you, you can tell. Within that structure of this super liberal, progressive Minneapolis, we still have these mega disparities. We still have this, watch out for a second. We still have these police killings, as you even mentioned today. And we're in the space of a police killing. What is the way forward? I know that a lot of people, MPD 150, I know other orgs are still trying to maneuver better abilities for better materials, a better transition out of the police force into a better public safety. What is your thought around all that?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, my biggest issue is with the greater populace seemingly choosing to abdicate their own responsibility, their own agency over their own lives and what they want to see things to do differently. You're like, well, nobody has presented to us a perfect plan, so we might as well go with the thing that has been here the longest. It's better to stick with the devil that you may know. And I'm like, well, the devil's still fucking killing you. The devil is inhibiting all of your rights and freedoms, and the devil is manipulating you to think that it is the thing that you need. And that's something that's been really frustrating to me today, is to see a lot of the response on social media in particular of folks sharing what's happening at George Floyd Square and people saying like, well, Agape said that they're community leaders and that they speak for community and they do this. I'm like, well, you've never been down here. You've never actually engaged with the community. So I find it completely out of line. I find it completely egregious, and I find it just... It makes me so mad that so many white liberals in this city are upholding standards of white supremacy because they see one formal organization that they can recognize as a formal organization saying that this is what's happening, whereas formal organizations are not what's going to save us. They are a symptom of the bigger issue, which is lack of resources, lack of connection, lack of care, and systemic racism. And so Agape did come out of all of those issues, but Agape is fueled by misogynoir, fueled by homophobia, fueled by transphobia, they are fueled out of a fear and scarcity mindset. And that is not something that is ever going to save us, and that's not something that is actually life-affirming. They do not affirm life. They affirm fear and holding on to the bits that the oppressive systems have handed to us and said, this is what you get. I reject that idea. They should have done better. We deserve better. We gave them all the grace in the world and all the efforts and all the resources to do better, and they did not. And so that is where my biggest disappointment is. And so talking about community and what's next, it's about coming down here and saying, like, this is what I can offer. Not what do you need, but this is what I can offer. One of the big critiques I've heard all day is folks like myself or Mylisha Smith or even Marsha Howard saying, come down here and hold space. And folks are like, well, hold space, that sounds really vague and open and indirect. Like, what is your direct ask? And we're like, honestly, fuck you. I'm too tired to figure out what all of the practical next asks could be, because we have been asking for practical next asks. We have put out the 24 demands. You can read those 24 demands at bit.ly/George Floyd Square -A. Again, that's bit.ly/George Floyd Square -A, all lowercase. We put out those 24 demands a year ago. That's exactly what we've been asking for. No justice, no streets. Those are what those demands are. And so folks are coming out here asking, like, or saying, like, well, the demands aren't concrete enough. The asks to come out and hold space aren't concrete enough. I'm like, why is it on us to say these are the next steps? If you're giving a shit about justice, if you're caring about your city and want to see the city do better, you also need to take agency. All of these allies, all of these folks that don't live in the immediate 3-block radius need to be taking agency over their own lives, their decision, and their impact, and to be able to say, this is what I can offer, will it be helpful? Not, what do you need? Because what we need is justice. And if you can't actively say, this is how I can contribute to justice, you're not actively contributing. And to say that we are not asking for the right things when we don't know what we can even ask for, you are not contributing.
It's a lot. It's a lot to sift through as well. You know, it's a double-edged sword. A few edges on the sword. It's ingrained into the society. These systems are built for this way that they're operating, and how to undo that within the system has been the struggle for hundreds of years, it seems. You have, I like what you were saying though as well. What is your interpretation of where things go in Minneapolis moving forward and where they could go?
I cannot speak for any part of the city. I cannot. I think that's been a huge mistake that many folks within the city have made, is that we can say that a neighborhood wants this or a neighborhood wants that, but that's not actually the truth, because unless you're actually asking every single person in that neighborhood, step off to the side. Unless you're asking every single person within that neighborhood what they want, you're not actually getting the full story. And feasibly, realistically, honestly, for anyone, it's just not possible, because one of my neighbors could tell me one story, and one of my and that same neighbor could tell a city official another story, just out of a need for safety. So that's also a dissonance that we have to make space for. In terms of what next, it's about us being able to choose what's next. It's that ability to have a choice. And so far, the city has violently removed every single choice that we could have possibly had. And that has been clearly laid out, especially as emails have come out. Minnesota Reformer, I think, the paper. Yeah, so Minnesota Reformer published a huge expose piece around a series of emails that came out of the city's office with the mayor's office and Chief Rondo's office around how they were working with people that lived outside of the city to try and boost their own narrative and boost their own budget and their own needs. I'm like, wow. So this whole Minneapolis delegation that is running out of fear is based on the opinions of 3 people from Richfield that make about $1.2 million a year. And our entire
Operation Safety
Now.
Safety Now, yes.
Yeah, Operation Safety Now. You can look that up. If you search Operation Safety Now, emails, Minnesota Reformer, it will all come up. I highly recommend that every single person that's even thinking about Minneapolis takes a peep at that. And so all of this is just ridiculous to me. It has been, like, I feel like an insane conspiracy theorist at some points, but I see all these pieces where I'm like, no, I actually have the evidence to back this up, and I keep trying to say, like, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, that there is a propaganda campaign against the community here, and that our own community members that are being lit up in the media as being problems of the square, of like, all these carjackings, all these crimes, like, all of this lawlessness within inside the square, are the same people that are being paid by the city to bulldoze the square at 3:30 in the morning and saying that, oh, we had community consensus. I'm like, well, you had consensus from the same 20 dudes that you were booking all summer and continuously releasing to amp up the crime rate within concentrated neighborhood. Again, all of this is documented. It's open information. The people who have been working for Agape that got contracted are the same people that the city has been arresting and releasing over and over and over again for all of these elevated crime rates. The city of Minneapolis, the mayor's office, has been actively boosting the crime rates for their own narrative and doing it legally. Which is why when I say, like, working within the legal system is not going to save us, is because the legal system is actively working against us in very tangible, real ways.
Can you talk about that a little bit more? We know fresh after the uprising started, the police stopped policing. And then it became a political entity for them to police. Oh, I'm going to police this ward or that ward or not this ward because of this city council member said they want to defund me and they don't want me to have my job. What is, so you're just breaking down some of the stuff. I didn't even really know some of this. How deep does it go, and can you drop any more of that information?
Yeah, so former, hold up, quick pause. Can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
I just wanted to shake it.
Oh, you don't want to be shot? Fine.
I think I'm finally no longer.
Will you bring my keys back to me?
Yeah.
There is a bubbly water can. Yeah, go. Bring me back. Okay. Okay, hi. Ask that again.
Yeah. What else?
No justice, no streets. Can you see we're a bunch of lawless animals out here? We're just spraying each other with water because I'm a witch and I'll melt.
Very scary. No, a lot of people have said this community is much safer than it has ever been. So when it comes to the police this last year, they quit their job in the beginning of the uprising. They might have gone on a silent strike organized by Bob Kroll.
Was it silent?
Oh, talk about what else has happened since then. You just talked about some of the boosting of the crime rates. Legally, sort of changing the narrative within themselves. They've worked with the media to, police officers have given reports to Jay Coles from Channel 5 to report on this no-go zone. What else has happened?
Oh my God, Nico, I'm going to be real with you for a hot second here. I would love to actually intentionally book an hour with you to break this down and to provide you with the documentation, the bulletproof points, list by list, because I have been doing it. I would love to do that in the next week because for the sake of my spoons and energy for the night, and that is like, I want to be able to dedicate that to my full attention. But I will say this right now. WCCO has been directly working with Bob Kroll and the police union to put out their narrative, and WCCO has been also providing information to Star Tribune. Star Tribune has been working with a journalist named Dina Winters, who works with Minnesota Reformer. Dina Winters has been an individual that has only been interviewing dissonant neighbors in the square. Those neighbors are people that either moved in 4 or 5 months ago and had completely rejected any type of community contact, or neighbors that have lived here for 20 years and have had so many other complaints to this point and are choosing to take it out on the community now. Also, those same neighbors we have raised $30,000 for. So I have a lot to say about the idea that community is not showing up right now and how all of this is feeding back in. So it's like, okay, so you want to take the good, uplift the bad, and say that we're not doing enough because we're not doing it perfectly. And that goes back to what I said in the beginning of, why are we expected to be perfect? We are grieving people. We are people who are actively experiencing trauma, genocide, active forms of violence and gaslighting and abuse within systems and individual relationships within the city. Why on earth are we being asked to be perfect when the city is not being asked of the same? Why are we being asked to have a perfect response and to have all of the answers and solutions? We're like, okay, well, here's a step, but to do the rest, we have to choose to do it together. And the city is saying, here's our pushback, and here's what we're going to do to make sure that you never have to deal with it. And that's all I'm hearing is that, oh, you don't want to have to deal with taking ownership and responsibility over your feelings, your life, your neighborhood, your home. Folks are so comfortable giving that responsibility up to higher powers that don't actually exist. They are a fabricated entity. And so that's what breaks my heart, is that we are out here actively choosing connection and community. We are actively out here reaching out to folks every single day and making sure that we stay alive. And some folks are out here feeling really, really hurt about stuff that really has nothing to do with us, but we could actively provide support for. Like, I have been on medical leave. I have also technically not worked formally anywhere in 3 years. And I have had all of my bills covered. I am physically disabled and I am on the autism spectrum, and I have had a couple of really serious medical incidences in the last couple months, including a seizure, a knee fracture, and I was able to get free, completely covered health care to my home. Like, I got a house call doctor that provided me with those services, and I felt safe. I was safe calling the medics in the square to come take care of me. Like, that speaks more volumes to me than folks who have not ever interacted with us one-on-one.
You received your health care from here?
Yes, I did, 100%. I learned that I had a minor hairline fracture on the inside of my patella and a pretty severe bone bruise that I'm still in recovery for. I work with a physical therapist once a month here, and I was sent home with physical therapy recommendations and physical therapy tools. I have been under medication management from doctors and nurses that volunteer their time in the square, including when my own psychologist quit her practice, didn't tell anyone to reschedule my appointment. And when I needed to have a meeting with her and re-up my meds that would actually have life-threatening consequences if I didn't take them for more than 2 days, there was a doctor in the square that's like, this is ridiculous. I'm writing you the prescription. You're going to be under my medication management now for free. Whereas I had to pay this other person $120 every time for a 15-minute appointment. So that's the story I want to tell.
Oh. The community is building the community inside of the community without the state needing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here.
Hey, peace, man. Peace. Let me get you a hug, man. I love you too.
Jay, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, you can say a few words. I know you had a long day. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your, thank you.
Hit me up about the interview. Let's
Thank
do it
you.
next week.
God bless you. Peace. Thank you,
Ari,
Queen.
Ari, if you don't remember.
Ari. Aleph, Dalet, Yod. Ari. Yes. Batzlaha. Havera Shelli. God bless you, my sister. That's what I said in Hebrew.
Hebrew?
Yeah.
Okay, word.
Her name is Adi. It's Hebrew word. Yeah.
I heard you speaking Swahili earlier too.
Oh man, we're learning a little bit of everything. We're just remembering it. You know what? Huge victory for mankind.
Yeah. Talk about it.
You know, it superseded George Floyd and became to a point where all who have ever suffered at the hands of white supremacy, of hatred, have been mourned here, you know, before and over. And, you know, And we just continue to unify in that way. And now it's, they tried their hand, they tried their power technique, and then wisdom withstood their power, the words, because they figured they use their money power, we could pay people, but they didn't know that the people that were doing the work, the wisdom is more than silver and gold. So it wouldn't matter how much they paid them, because the wisdom that touched their heart, then they fell back, and then as they fell back, we grew stronger, and then we grew stronger, and and then we came to understanding, of a national historic district, and it consisting of national historic monuments and national historic artifacts, all which we have here from Minneapolis and the riots of 2020. I urge all, if you do have anything left over, to monumentalize and memorialize all the things that you can, every time. So so they can't do it again. That they just can't do it again. That's why I built the garden, the roundabout, so they wouldn't be able to miss George, and just say, hey, push him under the street. But that's what they tried to do this morning. They tried to do that. But however, we prevail. That's why I asked him. I said, so it takes 50 people to undo the job of one. And the boss started crying, and then that's when she made him fall back. And then they said, well, you don't have the expertise to explain this. And I said, bring the engineers. Engineers came, and we spoke the same language. And then what they said was, okay, Jay, well, just let us know when you want to talk, peace. Then later on, spoke with council people, with city and staff, got a meeting on Monday. Then what? Because in order for it to be a National Historic Monument, we need a city or staff to endorse it. And so I have meeting with two city staff simultaneously, and they're both going to endorse it to become a National Historical Monument on Monday as soon as we meet. And so hopefully, I get your information. You can hit me up on Monday night, Monday, Tuesday, and I can tell you, still here. But, I can tell you if I'm here or another place, but I'll let you know. But that's a National Historical Monument, because I already got the applications, got everything. It's ready, right, prime. So, which is really beautiful, and that's why it's a step for mankind, because this represents all 400 years of these atrocities against, because in that roundabout, they have native, tobacco, they have all Latin America, they have everyone that's there that's mourn and come there for their ancestors to put there.
Can you show us? Can you walk? I don't want to make you walk.
Come on, my truck's over there.
All right, sweet.
Oh shit, that's wireless. I was scared.
Oh yeah, we don't have cords. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you built this, right?
Yeah.
With your bare hands, basically.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
And when did it go up?
June 19th on Father's Day it went up, but it started on June 12th. And so, I took all the old brick and mortar things and all the old playground stuff from the riots. The Jordan took all the wood and made the fists from the riots, and then we took all the dirt and the flowers, and I still need to water these plants. I can't even go home yet.
Oh no!
I can't even go home yet. And then when we're ready. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here. I gotta water these.
And then, okay, I'll let you do that. And then, so this morning they came and you sort of stopped some of them trying to take this down, is what you're saying, as another garden piece?
No, I stopped them from moving this. The only thing they wanted to move was this.
Okay.
They boarded up everything else. The only thing they wanted to move was this. This is the only thing that they wanted to move. And they said that, oh, we talked to him and this and that, but they said, but this was the only thing that they wanted to move.
And it's still here.
Because this is the only thing that they wanted to move. But no, we're still here, and it's a National Historical Monument, and they talking about they want to open up for economic purposes. I said, how much money is worth 400 years of slavery and debauchery? How much is that worth? How much is that worth in your lifetime? That what? How much is that? How much you gonna feel? You want 30 shekels or 35 shekels? How much do you want? You know, for all. That's why I was just like, you know, not going with it. And so, you know, this is for all of us. This is for everyone who has ever suffered at the hands of violence. And they try to come in here, just take it and move it. And like, thank God I got here on time, because they almost, you know. But that's why I built it out in measures, so it would take stages. And also, if you weren't here, but I had a cable that was like 4-inch cable that was 100 feet around, and they had the torch cut it. It took them. They were here 3 in the morning yesterday, torch cutting. They weren't happy. Yeah. But
anything else you want to say? I want to let you get back to doing what you're doing and get to some sleep. I know you've been up all day.
This is we've overcome, and we're living in the dream of Martin Luther King. Okay? May not look good, but God has meant this for the good. Not preaching, but be the Christ you seek. Be excellent. You know, glow, shine. The best revenge is massive success. The way we can avenge all our ancestors is be massively successful. You know, that's it. Do the best you can, because it's like you don't have to be 100% to shine. You just need 1%, because you know, with your 1%, your special sauce, you can change the world. Change the world. Change the world. Thank you.
Appreciate
Unicorn
you.
Riot. Peace.
Thanks, man. Sending you love. Much love. Hey. All right, that was Jada Gardner. We'll bring you a quick walk around, and then we'll take the stream down. This is the new norm here. These concrete barricades right here, the way they are. Jacob Fry made this statement. Oh, that's cool. You want to talk it off?
No.
My name is Nico.
I didn't know.
Oh, you Greek? You almost look Greek. So these concrete barriers were maneuvered here by the city. They are the city's. They were put up by the city in June last year. And to this morning at 4 in the morning, they came with forklifts, and they moved the concrete barricades that were on the each street, southeast, north, and west, blocking the traffic from getting into the square. They moved them to this area where George Floyd died. Jacob Fry said for a few times in the past that he wanted to allow for the place where George Floyd died to not have any traffic roll over it, and that looks to be the case so far. This was another site of Inez. He also died from community violence. And so this up here, let me get you a little better view. Well, right there, we'll walk over there in a second. About right there is where George Floyd died, or where they have the painted picture of him. Again, that was last year, May 25. And this is Cup Foods. It's still operational. A lot of people have brought up the idea that Cup Foods should be held responsible of some sort, because they are the ones who were harassing George over a $20 bill. Hello, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm Nico. Yeah.
This is Mary Claire.
Mary Claire. Hi, how you doing? I'm Nico. Would you all want to talk at all?
Yes. I know that.
No.
Can we talk together?
Yeah, totally.
About.
We are live, if you're okay with that.
They know what is Riot. They know who you are.
Okay, word. Yeah, if you're down, we can keep it short too if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you can introduce yourselves or not. You don't have to. And then just let's talk about what you felt like you saw today with the maneuvering of these concrete barriers from the street over to here.
That's you.
And you don't have to introduce yourself, but you can.
Okay, I'm Mary Claire.
I'm Liz.
And what we saw today and this morning was re-traumatization of what happened a year ago. And people just ignoring our demands and our needs for this to be equitable.
Thank you for that. The re-traumatization, this is a healing space, internationally known healing space that George Floyd's, obviously, his lynching or his death led to international movement that's larger than we've ever seen. Now this is that space, and you're saying the community here has been searching for healing, but they're re-traumatized by this. Is there a way the city can do this a little bit better or less traumatizing to the community and continue to reconnect the streets, or do you feel like they should just not have any reconnection to the streets at all?
I don't think there's a way to go back to anything that was before, and in a way that means even how traffic was flowing before, right? And so, you know, this is a first here in Minnesota, the way that this community has come together. This is a monument unlike any other across the country for an instance of police violence, police murder. And in order to spark any real change, like that big monumental first, it can't just be taken away. It needs to stay, and it needs to be remembered forever.
And I think in order for a change or anything to be started, we need to be heard and respected by our offerings and our grieving here. This should stay as long as people need to heal from this, because there is no going back.
And MC and I were saying, like, nobody in this neighborhood's looking to drive a foot away from where George Floyd was murdered. Nobody here in this neighborhood wants to be that disrespectful, and I think the city has misconceptions about what we want, what we need, and it's been working fine, you know, having it closed. It's been working how it should, and so there's no need to keep traffic flowing at this monument.
Right. I mean, one officer was convicted. That's a step in the right direction, but that doesn't mean it all goes away because you did a small thing. There has to be continued equity and support, and we have to have a voice in what we need, and we have to be heard. They can't just come back in and take it all away and think that they did something right.
I know you asked to keep it short. I'll ask one more question. What is your thoughts around the police? Is there an alternative to the police that could be a viable solution for the community to feel more safe? Or do you feel like the police right now just need retraining and some other things like that?
I think retraining for sure, and some sort of reform around like better vetting officers. I mean, the fact that someone can go to cosmetic school for longer than an officer has to train for, you know, having a deadly weapon in their hand is ridiculous. It's not correct. I think there has to be some sort of training, and I mean, it shouldn't have been a mistake like Kim Potter shooting Dante Wright with, you know, oh, it's my taser. You should know the difference between your taser and your gun, and that's just not an excuse.
Like personally, you're good. I'm not ready to like think of a solution, and that's maybe a problem that we have is, I'm not ready to think of a solution, and I don't think it involves police at all. But I will say, like, I don't know. I think we've proved as a community that we have found safety despite the police, not because of the police. And so I'm not sure I'm going to rethink that. But yeah.
Yeah, like we've seen self-policing work, and so why can't that stay? Why can't that be the first response to needing help than someone coming in with a deadly weapon? And
and a lot of it also comes down to guns too. Like, police should not ever have even, I think, the capabilities to kill someone. And if if there's a reason that their lives should be at stake like that, there's some deeper change that needs to happen too. But
there's a lot of countries where they don't carry guns.
Right.
Right.
But then there's also a lot of countries without the guns that the populace has. Like
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
It's double-edged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of thought around that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything else you'd want to say in terms of anything? Coming up to the summer, we just had the longest year, basically, in our lives that we've known. We had the pandemic and then George Floyd. And Minneapolis has seen a lot. And like you said, you touched on the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Community is traumatized. And
Yeah.
how does the community continue to heal through this next year? What's your thought process in the next year? And anything else you'd want to say?
Our organization, Real Minneapolis, has created, we have a youth center in Midtown at the Midtown Exchange building that has supported distance learners and people who are looking to volunteer their time to help others. And to support students that don't have that adult supervision at home or the correct internet or the correct technology. And now transitioning into summer, we're going to be doing kind of the same thing, including some of the education aspect to help kids get caught up and get that credit recovery, but to also do activities and field trips that they've never done before. I mean, swim lessons for African American children is especially important because of they're 10 times more likely to drown in comparison to a white student or a white child. So we're just going to be doing activities and having a fun summer.
Field Trip Friday.
Field Trip Friday, and just, you know, trying to heal and taking that next step forward, and hopefully just making a change on their life.
I would say too that my, I guess my hope for healing also is rooted in education, and a lot of my healing has helped me be a better student, and vice versa. It's a two-lane path, and so I'm working on a podcast for high schoolers, students who, especially BIPOC students, who have faced a very challenging year in a lot of ways, and have now a responsibility and a great opportunity to heal, and from that, you know, learn and make better for this city. So if you want to reach out to me, my name is Liz Balsoni. Send questions to our podcast. It'll be coming out this summer. So.
And are you single?
Or reach out to someone in the Office of Higher Ed. We'll get you on our podcast. So.
Or if you are 5 years and up and want to come join some summer activities and field trips, come join us at Real Minneapolis.
Word. Office of Higher Ed in Real Minneapolis.
Yep.
I don't work for the office. I don't know if they want me saying that, but I work through them. I work for them.
Get your youth involved. Yeah. Word.
Right.
Thank
you so much.
And these are our awesome kicks.
Oh, no way.
Take my hand out of the picture.
Here.
Your hand is not in anymore.
Take out the bag.
Steve Van Doren, the original family owner of Vans,
wow,
worked with
okay.
our brand designer to create these custom shoes. We only have 130 pairs of them.
Oh, wow.
So these are very exclusive.
And you have them on.
Nobody else knows about him. You're first here, Nico.
Wow, thank you. Exclusive.
We're auctioning them as a fundraiser. In fact, one of the things that we'd like to do is just thinking about all the people that have been out here day and night for like a year. Can you take my shoe? You know, we want to have a fundraiser. He gifted the shoes to us so that we could raise more funds so that we can help more kids. And that we can offer them the things that children just a mile or two away have because of their privilege. And, you know, my children are like that. They've got a working dad and a working mom. And so they can go to a camp a couple times a week, you know, or a month or a summer. And so Mary's the youth director, and we've come up with programming. Like, there's an organization called Be a Boarder that provides skateboarders to under-resourced folks that normally wouldn't participate in this sport. We're working on a community terrace that we wanted it to be at Lake in Chicago, but we can't find anywhere that will let us put it there. And it's essentially like a basketball court, but it would also serve as like a skating rink, a roller skating rink, and like a place to do self-defense classes, a place to do yoga. People can have their quinceañera there, you know, just offer it maybe like a farmer's market. Anyway, so we're doing all kinds of cool stuff. And the shoes are a way to raise money. And we're thinking about just looking at like Billy, our friend Billy on the bike, who's here. And, you know, Janelle and Marsh and all the people that we'd like to be able to essentially sponsor a pair of shoes. So like someone who lives in wherever, Mississippi, they want to contribute to a youth organization and then buy a pair for the people who've been, they're the feet on the street, man. Hey, there you go. So there's some people that have been out here just day and night every time we come out here, which isn't that often because we're at the youth center. They're here every single time, holding space here, and I have just a lot of deep respect, but we're all just sort of shooken up. Mary Claire and I, we live 9 blocks away. She's my neighbor and family friend, and we came out the day, you know, right when he was murdered and started marching, running into you at some places. Actually, I met you over at that Black Lives Matter out on the street. What was that place called, MC? The African Museum?
Oh, yeah.
I think
during the mural painting.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we ran into you, and Marnie's on our team, and well, we're just big fans of Unicorn Riot because it's like we do a lot of stuff too with trying to, you know, the real Minneapolis really started because we were out here, you know, supporting the movement and against police violence and holding spaces for this sacred area that, you know, some people who are a little more narrow-minded, or I don't want to say small-minded, think of as like a place where George Floyd was murdered. It's not just a place where George Floyd was murdered. This is a place for millions of stolen lives. It's representative of, you know, honoring those people and making a huge change, which is really a global radical change. And I don't think it's by accident that it happened in, you know, in the middle of a pandemic, where it's like you really don't have all of the trappings that we normally have, and you're just there with yourself and your own misery or your own joy, and you know, it's just kind of strips everything away. And then at the very basic level, fundamentally, we're all fucking equal, and if we're not, it's not right. So I don't know, don't get me started, but can I interview you while you interview me?
I don't really try to answer questions, but I could real quick.
How long have you been doing this, and how the hell are you so good at it?
Oh, thanks. I've been a human for 38 years.
Okay. No, it's true.
You know, for media-wise, I've been around for about 6 years to 8 years in the media world. Unicorn Riot's been around for 6 years.
Okay.
I saw incredible, great streamers like just people who've been throwing it down since Occupy Wall Street.
Wow.
Some of them helped create Unicorn Riot, but I saw how they did things.
Wow.
And then I saw some, you know, tried to incorporate questions that I would have. I sort of know a lot of the community because I was in certain circles, but also I taught youth at We Win Institute.
Really?
Yeah. And so We Win has been around for about 20 years, and now, or 26, 25.
How did we not know that?
And I've been around there for the last 18 or so. Yeah.
Well, what I really appreciate about you, Nico, is a lot of times, you know, one, I don't have a very good memory retention, and I'm not really up on every single case and incident and legal terminology and the last victim, and like you've got it all in there, and you're almost like an attorney, a racial justice advocate, you know, all these things wrapped into one little old package there. So I enjoy that. But anyway, I also so wanted to put a plug for Mary Claire. She's a co-founder. She's over here recording, and I wouldn't do this without her. But like, I don't know, it's kind of weird that we're out here recording because we're not out here that much these days, and it's like I don't want to, I don't know, monopolize on their space or anything, or make it like a show, because that's not our intention at all. We ran into you and we're like, no, there's Nico, but is there anything else you want to say, MC? No? What do you want to happen here? What do you hope for?
I hope they listen. I hope they finally hear us and support us, and, you know, don't just throw us your scraps. We want what you have and what you haven't had to work for, what we've had to scrounge for.
What is it like trying to get funding for like a program? Like, what has it been like for us? Is this weird that I'm interviewing
Oh, that's
her?
great. Thank you.
I mean, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about rules. That's why I like.
There is none.
There's no fucking rules.
It's hard. It's degrading. It's like, you know, it's like we're entertaining them for a little
Tap
bit.
dancing.
Yeah, we say tap
You gotta
dancing
code
for
swap.
the white wealth. Yeah, and code switch. I mean,
which we can do.
Right, but
Right.
it's exhausting trying to be someone else or trying to be something else that's not my authentic self.
So we're a nonprofit. We worked as volunteers for like 7-8 months, just grueling work. Couldn't find space to have our youth center, so we were in tents out here at Phelps Park because no one would share space. And then we're like, well, fuck it, let's just get some tents and make it beautiful. So we went to Target and made it beautiful, went to Cabela's, and now we're at Alina headquarters where Penny Wheeler is the CEO, and her team allowed us to be in that space for a year, no rent, which is essentially the equivalent of giving us $500,000. So you got to come visit it. We would love to have you as a guest. Our summer program starts June.
Kids would love it.
Is it June 13th or 14th?
14th.
But then we probably got to do some TikTok shit at the same time. They're like very low
The
attention
kids are
span.
very TikTok.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
Well, cool. How can people find more information about the youth program?
right here.
REALMPLS.org.
Oh, it is? Is
It's
it upside down?
Oh, it's upside down.
Well,
yeah.
then just here, let your viewers have some fun with it, I guess.
REALMPLS.org.
Oh my gosh, he did it upside down.
Cool.
Oh,
All right,
that's
thank
so
you.
funny. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the
Yeah.
conversation, the time, and the love.
Okay.
Yeah. Just getting the shoe back on. The Hope Shoes by the Vans, man. How many? 130, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about 130, and we're gonna be doing some, they follow us, on Instagram.
Nice.
We don't have a lot of time to focus on social media, it's like, damn. So if they follow us there, follow us on Twitter, whatever, they can enter to win a pair of the shoes. We're also gonna have, I don't know, man, maybe you could be in on this. Nico, we want to have a shoe off where you show up in your best Vans, and then, we have instead of a dance off, a shoe off, do a little runway walk, do a spin, and, we'll have some judges. Ooh, you'd be a good judge.
There you go. I don't have any Vans, so I could be a judge, man.
Mary has a short attention span over here. So shoe off is one thing we're thinking about. What else are we thinking about? Oh, getting some hype.
Yeah.
A couple local people who have really contributed.
Vans collectors.
Like some Vans collectors in England, and we just, if we're not going to get money from the grants and a lot of the corporations in town that practice colonial philanthropy, because they give to their same friends they've been giving to for decades and decades and decades. And you know the names because you shop at that store, or you've seen that organization, or you know that name because you've heard it since you were 2. We're not one of those organizations. We're a grassroots nonprofit organization made up of 3 BIPOC women with
For
a
the BIPOC community by the BIPOC community.
So what we've gotten and what we've done has been from True Grit and having some champions like Steve Van Doren from Vans, or having our buddy Kat, but also people like the sous chef. Do you know who the sous? So he contributed when we didn't have money to feed the kids in January and February. His organization, Natifs, NATIFS, gave us $6,000 to feed the kids for about 5 or 6 weeks, because it adds up, man. It's like $300 a day.
Up to 50 kids.
Minneapolis public schools wouldn't give us funding. They wouldn't even send social worker. We've got kids where we're on the front lines of, and you've worked with youth, of possible neglect, lots of situations at
Especially
home.
during the pandemic.
Oh, hell yeah. The rates of mental illness and alcoholism through the roof. They're just they should have a case manager at their school. They just have them do a Zoom call with and they brushed us off. The mayor brushed us off. We actually met him out at that event where we met you. Player Fry, we call him Player Fry. He played our ass. And then we got brushed off. The Office of Violence Prevention, they brushed us off. Brushed us off. And then they gave the money to the people who tore down the memorial as an Office of Violence Prevention. Gave money to the people who tore down the memorial. Instead of giving it to the youth, while the youth are being killed from violence. So I'm all fucked up over it. I'm just what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to play the white man's game, or am I supposed to be who I am? And Mary gets to be who she is, and they get to honor us for being sisters and women and nurturers. We served for, the whole school year. These kids got to come and do their distance learning in our center because they didn't have internet at home, or it was shitty. They didn't have adult supervision, or they didn't have food at home.
Or they weren't even joining class.
They weren't joining, they were just going back to sleep. And that's hard work. And I don't even like kids, man. That's kind of a joke.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I do. She's the youth director, let's just put it that way. I'm the talker. But hey, we'll talk all night here.
Right. I appreciate that. I also don't like kids.
No, you love them.
Don't give it back to me.
Yeah, don't give it back to me.
Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Don't give it to me.
Thank you. You too. So what you see right here is the more of the barricades. We'll do a quick walk around the barricades. Unite. We will never divide. People united will never be divided. Excuse me. Stop the violence. And these are new barricades that were brought and put by the police today. A lot of these barricades were up here, and they were moved to this area as you see them. So this is the day of the beginning of the phasing of the reconnection of 38th Street here at Chicago Avenue. Here's the other garden equipment and stuff. This is new garden stuff that's been popping up. Again, Jay the gardener was creating this. There's a little top one that goes above. And here's... Hey, what's up? Long time.
Yeah. Are you live streaming right now?
Yes.
Keep it away from here.
Okay, cool.
Put the camera over here.
All right, I will. Right here is more of the garden that is being preserved right now by these concrete barriers. So these concrete barriers are the city created, or city barriers, and they've been maneuvered today from the blocking the streets to now blocking the ability of traffic to hit specific points like this garden, to hit specific points like George Floyd's space of death. So this is the People's Way. This is the bookshelf. We'll bring you to the bookshelf real quick. One second, I need to do something. We're going to bring the stream down in a minute. Thank you, Dan, for running the back end. I need to just do a quick thing, and then we'll do the rest of this little quick tour, and we'll bring the stream down again. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here live at George Floyd Square, where the police, the city, with the police as a backup, way in the back, way in the cut, like off 39th or like 35th and 38th and Stevens, about 6 blocks away. The police were pretty big earlier this morning, but they didn't come into the square for very much. Here is a visitor map that shows some of where people came from, and you can see it's quite wild. Here's the world. West Africa, hard in representation in West Africa. Central Africa, you got Somalia, you got Ethiopia, you got South Africa, you got Jakarta, some Micronesia, Philippines, India, China, Pakistan, Iran, some European countries. And then here's America over here on this one. And then you see America here on this one with a lot of representation. And then you see even smaller for Minnesota. So these obviously is not everybody who's visited. That number is way bigger than that. But it's just a representation of some of the people who've put information on here. This is the med tent. One second. This is the med tent. And trying to tighten this thing real quick. There we go. and a basketball hoop, as you can see. So this is the community. The community still has control of George Floyd Square. It has not been eradicated. What up, what up? Hey. It has not been eradicated. The people are still here gathering. The people are still holding space here. And they're still maneuvering their way into trying to figure out some kind of justice and some kind of resolution, as well as continuing to keep this healing space. So again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. Thank you, Dan, so much for the back end. We're going to bring the stream down. Come over to this corner, get you a different view real quick. I'll walk around this gentleman so I don't get in his view. What up, what up? So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support for Unicorn Riot. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we wouldn't be able to do this without your support. All financial support is tax deductible, so if you have the financial privilege, please think about supporting us if you like what we cover, or just simply share our work, and that will help us immensely. We are a non-commercial, very small organization, independent media that works within sort of the internet, you could say. And so for our work to be put elsewhere, we rely on you all to help share the work. So thank you for doing that. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, unicorn.riot, follow us on YouTube. Twitter is UR_ninja. YouTube, Facebook, and Vimeo, as well as Twitch. We're on Twitch streaming again. We were streaming some of the trial, the Derek Chauvin trial, on Twitch until we got banned from Twitch for showing the trial. Get that? But we have now since got back on Twitch, and therefore I think we are broadcasting on Twitch. So thank you again, Dan, for running the back end tonight. We'll continue to keep tabs on what's happening here in Minneapolis. There was also a murder of a young man who was killed by the authorities today. One second, I'm trying to get this straight. There we go. There's one man who was killed by authorities today up in uptown Minneapolis, and people are saying that he was a murder suspect. I have not seen that. I've only seen that in reality he was not reality. The state's saying that he was a felon, a wanted felon. That does not obviously exact a death sentence need. Minnesota does not have the death sentence, and this man was killed today while they were trying to apprehend him. I do not know the extending circumstances, if that person was armed or shooting people, but what we do know is in the beginning they specifically catered to the narrative of he was a murder suspect. You look at that, and you can also look at the other interpretation of how the state and the police run these narratives. When George Floyd was killed, John Elder, the PIO, a public information officer from the MPD, said that it was a medical emergency that made them call 911 to have the hospital or to have the ambulance come. It wasn't Derek Chauvin choking George Floyd out for 10 minutes. So we obviously know the narrative is a real thing, and the narrative is a lot of the reality that people face, and part of the reason why Unicorn Riot is around, because the narrative needs to have the community side of things as well, not only just the police narrative. So it looks also right now, I'm just going to show you real quick, somebody's doing a projector, and so I'm going to turn off this light. So there's, again, there's community events up here all the time, continuously, and now somebody is projecting an image onto the People's Way, probably going to play a movie, is my guess, but I could be wrong. They've stopped the projector right now, but it was right about where that ladder is. So anyways, we'll bring the stream down. Again, thank you all for tuning in. We did hear different different things, different stories that we've covered today. Real quick, I will brush on them fastly. Here at the square is George Floyd Square. We have done a documentary called Beyond the Barricades, a look inside George Floyd Square. Check that out on our website, as well as covered a lot of events up here. We heard from Mike Forsha today, who was one of the indigenous elders who was charged for the tipping of the Columbus statue in St. Paul last July, I believe, last June or July. And we covered that, as well as a contributor, Darren Thompson, covered the specific sentencings that Forsha was given. So check that out on our website, and just continue to follow our streams and our media that we create and make. We do it all for you, and we do it with trying to bring context to these struggles. We have some folks that will be bringing you a lot of coverage from Line 3 in these next couple days. Continue to watch that and just continue to check out our media. Talking about the Minneapolis police, we dropped a special on body camera footage that we recovered from the Minneapolis police during November 4th suspicious vehicle call that shows basically it shows a unit, a specialized unit, one of the Jump Out Boys units, which is called the CART team, Chemical Agent Response Team. They actually are hazing another officer for saying the name of Dayton Dubois, who is a community engagement officer. So check that out on our website. It's sort of complicated when I just tell you about it, but just understand that the Minneapolis police, inside the culture of their departments and specialized units within their department, they make fun of other officers for trying to make a change. So that's what people are up against basically within this system. And you heard a lot of information or a lot of discussion around Agape movement. We actually did not speak to an Agape member today. Apologies for that. We will get to interview some Agape members a little bit later at another point. If you want to hear from an Agape member, we talked to one specifically on the stream during the Chauvin trial verdict day, 420. And so go check that out. It was probably in the middle of the stream. We talked to one of the Agape members who specifically asked if they work with the police, and they said no. Basically, they said the same thing as well as, or they said no on the same level of working with the police today during the press conference, but then they said they work with the city. So real quick, Lake and Girard seems to be a happening place where they killed another man. We'll probably go over there and check that out and drop the stream. If we have the ability, we will come back live. If not, just continue to follow our Twitter. We'll try to provide some updates on there. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. Thank you so much, Dan, and for running the back end. You all take care. Have a good night. UnicornRiot.ninja is our website. Peace.
That was like last